Hold on for the ride, my friend. February will be a fast-moving, pivotal month of change for all of us collectively and for many of us personally as well. Eclipse season is here, bringing a first new beginning solar eclipse in visionary, innovative Aquarius with an extra electrical charge as the eclipse is squaring Uranus, the Great Awakener, which will have just woken up from its 5-month nap and turn direct. And all the personal planets in Aquarius will take turns squaring Uranus as well, which likely means jolts, disruptions, unexpected breakdowns, and breakthroughs, all helping us free and liberate ourselves as we move into this new energy. And if this weren't enough to keep us on our toes, on February 20th, Saturn and Neptune will make their once in our human history conjunction at the 0 point of fiery, risk-taking Aries. So in part 1 of this video, I am excited to share with you the key transits and their dates and how you can best navigate these energies, along with who will most personally and intensely feel some of these transits as well. In part 2, I will be doing your monthly horoscopes and pulling an oracle card for each of the signs. Watch part 1 of this video before you jump to your 12-sign readings, or you will miss some of the most important astrology of the month. Okay, my friend, I cannot wait to get into this history-making month of 2026. But before I do, I want to say hello and welcome. If you are brand new to the channel, I am so glad that you are here. If you're highly sensitive, empathic, on a spiritual path, or you just love astrology, you are in the right place. Take a moment right now to tap that subscribe button so that we stay connected and you don't miss a video. Welcome back to those of you who've been watching. If we're just now meeting, I'm Betsy Gutting. I am a psychic astrologer and intuitive life coach, and it's always my intention to inspire and empower you through Western tropical astrology. It is also my passion and dedication to meet you on Zoom for one-on-one live astrology consultations. So if that intrigues you, especially as we are now in eclipse season, stay tuned till the end of the video. I'll tell you more about my offerings, and I have a free gift for you. If you'd like to receive my weekly inspirational astrology updates, go to my website, subscribe for free, and you will get my free instant download gift right away. As the month of February begins, the sun and all the personal planets are still in visionary, future-focused Aquarius. Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and Mars in Aquarius will all take turns squaring the planet of accelerated and unexpected discombobulating moments, Uranus, also known as Uranus, and yes, there are a lot of ways to say that word, but I say Uranus, and Uranus is doing its very last pass in Taurus. Now, as much temporary upheaval as Uranus can cause, we want to remember that the goal of Uranus is to liberate and free us from stuck or stagnant situations, relationships, jobs, chronic health issues, you name it. Uranus wants to help us break free. So fortunately, throughout the month, the Sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury in Aquarius will also make harmonious transits to Chiron, the archetype of the wounded healer. And I see these harmonious, very positive transits as opportunities for all of us collectively to begin healing, and many of us personally as well. So let's go day by day. I'm going to share with you the most important transits of the month, beginning with February 1st. Right out of the gate, we have a full moon in exuberant Leo. Leo is heart healing energy. It is ruled by the sun. It is our life force, our creativity. It's connected to inner child delight. And in Leo energy, we are meant to, yes, you got it, shine our light bright. In its highest octave, Leo energy inspires free, unbridled, authentic expression. Let you be you. Let me be me. And let's all have fun together. Leo also rules world leaders, political figures, celebrities, and the highest octave of this is leading with integrity. However, the lower octave is I'm in charge, I can do whatever I want, or getting attention for all the wrong reasons, false pride, arrogance, and not being willing to admit that you're wrong or that you made a mistake. And this is the key, my friend, because all the personal planets are in Aquarius during this full moon, standing across from the moon. This really symbolizes the people, humanity, standing up for themselves, potentially squaring off with leaders that they do not feel are in their integrity. And because both the sun and Mars, the planet of drive and motivation, but also of conflict, wars, and violence, because Mars is also opposite the moon, more conflict and force are possible. However, I am hopeful that because Venus and Mercury are conjunct one another, there is a pouring out of love and support, and that this is what is being spread through technology, social media. After all, Venus and Mercury are conjunct in Aquarius. And so I am hoping that this full moon in Leo on the first of the month becomes a moment for humanity and human rights and communities gathering together, because as we know, there are many more demonstrations that are going on right now, protesting. As the governor of Minnesota recently shared, many of its citizens standing in 40 below freezing weather to let their voices be heard. And none of what I'm saying has anything to do with politics. I want to make that clear. The astrology tells us, Aquarius energy, this is about what's best for everyone. Human rights, the collective, the people having a voice. Now, I have a separate video for you on the Leo full moon, which goes much more into how you might experience this full moon on a personal level. And I will let you know where this is happening in your monthly horoscopes in this video as well. But who will most feel this full moon in Leo? It's happening at 13 degrees. So if you have planets or points between 9 and 17 degrees of the fixed signs Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, you will feel this full moon most intensely. And like all full moons and all transits, they are happening somewhere in your natal astrology chart. So wherever you have 13 degrees, this is where the themes of this full moon will likely be getting your attention. Now, speaking of healing, on February 2nd and 4th, this is when we're going to have two of the personal planets take a turn sextiling Chiron and Aries. Both Mercury and Venus on the 2nd and 4th, respectively, will harmoniously converse with Chiron. And Chiron represents a core wound. We all have one. We all came into this lifetime with one, with the intention of healing it, knowing that as we heal that core wound, our greatest wound becomes our greatest strength. Abandonment, betrayal, or shame, or some combination thereof, are core wounds that are connected to Chiron. And because Chiron is in Aries, and Aries in its lower octave represents conflict and fighting, war or violence, or perhaps where you have been shunned or mistreated or ignored or made invisible or made to feel like you didn't matter because you were doing something or speaking something or pioneering something that maybe you got punished for, or you ruffled other people's feathers and you vowed to yourself you would never talk about that again. You get the idea. So those would be examples of what we might heal individually. And because Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac, it is connected to our identity and our self-image and what we think we have the capability to do or not do. Sometimes it's connected to self-doubt. Do I really have what it takes to make this happen, to win or succeed? The cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, will feel this transit most intensely, but we will all, like all transits, have an opportunity to work with this energy on a collective level, and collectively the way it could play out in the US. And I don't mean to be US centric. This is really up for people in this country right now. I know that there are many things going on around the world that we could be healing from. And wherever you are, my friend, that could be causing you deep grief that you could be healing from as well. But since Mercury and Venus are involved, Mercury being communication, news, and headlines, one way that this could play out is more communication with the citizens of Minnesota and all of us, letting us know that measures are being taken to stop the violence happening. On February 3rd, Uranus is going to station direct in Taurus. When Uranus stations direct, it can be like a sleeping volcano awakening. For this reason, Uranus's very last pass in Taurus, which is what's going on right now, Uranus will move into Gemini on April 26th and stay in Gemini until 2033. And it will not be back in Taurus for another 84 years. And the themes that we have experienced with Uranus in Taurus, having to do with our financial systems, currencies, farming and food supply, extreme weather patterns and disastrous flooding, earthquakes, fires, hurricanes, and more. With Uranus and Taurus, you could have felt like an earthquake was going off in your life. And I do have a separate video for you on Uranus's last pass in Taurus, which I highly recommend you watch if you have gone through a major relationship breakup or something shocking has happened to you that has felt like an earthquake shattering the pieces of your life. It's very possible that for you, this was a Uranus transit. Now, Uranus wants to free us to see with new eyes, to fly above our lives and open ourselves up to other possibilities. So a wake-up call from Uranus that could happen in February, given all of the Uranus activity happening this month. A wake-up call such as this can lead to a quantum leap in consciousness. It can lead to an aha moment, to a moment of saying yes to something that really lights up your heart that you hadn't considered before, that feels out there or crazy or visionary even. But for those of us who have any unfinished business, especially having to do with the themes that I just mentioned, between now and April 26th, you are meant to take care of that unfinished business. And if you don't know what that is, and you have planets or points in the high degrees of the fixed signs, you may get a little push from Uranus when it turns direct. On February 5th, just 2 days after Uranus wakes up and stations direct, Mercury in Aquarius will make a square to Uranus. Squares are tension and pressure, but with Uranus, it often is a moment of stress or chaos. Something breaks down. It can be tied to the internet. It can be anything to do with communication, because this is Mercury after all. And it always helps to remember that this is temporary, but I know when it's happening, it's very uncomfortable. It can be really stressful. And once we sort things out, and by the way, there's often a workaround with Uranus energy, even the squares. There's often some sort of creative way to fix something or do it differently. And if there isn't, it may be that a door is closing and that a new door wants to open up for you. Because we are going to have multiple Uranus squares this month, including the solar eclipse squaring Uranus, which I'll get to in a moment, I just want to remind everybody to stay grounded, know that your sleep can be disrupted, hydrate well, get plenty of exercise, eat nutritious food, and take time to quiet and calm the mind, because Uranus can disrupt the nervous system. So we're going to need more downtime, more naps, more moments of just not thinking, just breathing and being. On February 6th, Mercury, just having squared Uranus, will change signs. It will enter Pisces, the deep water sign. Pisces energy helps us to connect to our intuition, to receive divine downloads, channeling, and enhance our clairs, even mediumship abilities. So with Mercury in Pisces, you may want to spend more time in meditation. You may feel that you are extra psychic. This is a beautiful time to ask for signs, to really notice the synchronicities, write them down, thank Spirit for them. The more we have gratitude for something, the more it shows up, right? To remember that we are not in charge, to go with the flow, have a good cry if you need it. And with Pisces energy connected to the 12th house of the zodiac, you may have more karmic or fated moments or connections this month as well. On February 8th, Venus will take a turn squaring Uranus in Taurus. Venus is tied to all of the delicious things in life, the things that make us happy that we came here to be in physical bodies, like good food, love, relationships that bring you joy, when abundance and money is flowing and all of your needs are met. Beauty, pleasure, romance, creativity, all Venusian things. When Venus squares Uranus, however, it's saying something is out of sync. Something needs a course correction. Venus squaring Uranus could definitely bring disruption to the financial markets, or on a personal level, it could be something Venusian that just doesn't go the way that you plan. So not a good day to surprise your loved one, not a good day to propose to someone, if you have planets or points in the high degrees of the fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, or Taurus. After Venus squares Uranus, just like Mercury did, it will leave Taurus and enter Pisces. This happens on February 10th. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and the highest octave is divine love, compassion, radical self-compassion, forgiveness of others, beauty, artistry. Venus in Pisces can take your imagination, your creativity, your ability to deepen your connection with your own soul. It can take all of this to your next level of mastery. So what I love about Venus in Pisces is it facilitates meditation, visualization, co-creating a new reality. Very good for getting in the vortex, imagining, feeling, sensing what you most want to experience, and allowing that vision, that energy to go out into the ethers so that you can make those connections with other people, picking up on your Venus in Pisces creation. It's also very romantic, Venus in Pisces, love at first sight, immediately falling for someone. We just want to be aware of not projecting onto someone, projecting our own fantasy of who they are, what they're like. This is easy to do with Venus in Pisces, FYI. So very helpful if we have our feet firmly planted on the earth and our eyes wide open. On February 11th, the sun in Aquarius will sextile Chiron. I've already spoken about how this is a healing opportunity for us personally, but also for us collectively. The sun is connected to our identity, to our life force, to our soul's desire that we shine our passions and our joy out into the world. And the sun can also be connected to leaders. So the highest expression of this transit would be one or more leaders saying or doing something that has a healing effect on the people. Now, on February 13th, Saturn will join Neptune as it re-enters Aries to stay until 2028. I have a separate video for you on Saturn and Neptune re-entering Aries to stay. But in a nutshell, I will say here that you could feel a sense of urgency, passion, a desire to take a risk, to follow a calling. Aries energy is about the hero's journey, us taking an inspiration and wanting to make it real. Saturn, make something real. Neptune, your dream, your vision, your heart's desire. Also, Neptune can dissolve Saturnian rules, restrictions, boundaries that are hurting people. Saturn in Aries is a 29-year cycle, so we will not experience this again for another almost 30 years. And it's the mutable signs that have been feeling Saturn in Pisces. The mutable signs, I'm sure, will be very happy to hand the baton to the cardinal signs. Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn will be the ones to feel Saturn in Aries most intensely. Now, I want you to know that the sun will come out this month. The sun does come out on February 16th when Venus in Pisces trines Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. So Pisces and Cancer, both water signs, both very deep feeling, intuitive. They are going to harmoniously be speaking to each other. And I mean, Venus and Jupiter, who doesn't love that, right? Venus, everything Venusian, beauty, pleasure, money, love, the sweetness of life, flowing its energy to Jupiter and Cancer. Cancer being connected to everything that brings us emotional security, home and family, to the extent that they make us feel emotionally secure. And Jupiter is connected to blessings and good fortune when it is receiving harmonious energy, which it is during this transit. So this is a beautiful day to do anything romantic or anything that lifts your heart, spending time with people that you care about, people that you enjoy, or creating something. A great day to be creative, to decorate or beautify your home, for example, or play with a child. Now, on February 17th, we're going to have our first eclipse of the season. This is a solar eclipse in Aquarius. Solar eclipses are new moons. So they represent new beginnings, new visions, fresh starts. And because it's an eclipse, it is an important time to co-create something positive, co-create a new positive cycle for yourself. Even though this is a North Node eclipse, which encourages us to go toward our future vision, because it's almost at 29 degrees, 28 degrees, 56 minutes, almost 29, which is a critical degree. This tells us there is something that is wrapping up. There is something that we are meant to see if we have not yet seen it. There is a door that we should be closing if we are one of the ones most affected, or I like to say one of the ones who will feel this new moon solar eclipse most intensely. It could feel like something is leaving, but there's both a door closing and a new door opening around this eclipse time. What is most compelling about this solar eclipse in Aquarius and cannot possibly be ignored, we couldn't ignore it even if we wanted to, is that Uranus, the great awakener, the planet of shocks and discombobulating moments and unforeseen circumstances, this eclipse, the sun and the moon together in Aquarius, they will square Uranus in Taurus, which will have just turned direct. So if you have a Uranus moment, my friend, stay calm. Your mind could make you feel like there is an emergency. But as my mom used to say, it's not the end of the world. It's only temporary. And always ask for other options because Uranus gives us workarounds. Or it takes us back to the drawing board, which is sometimes what is best for us and everyone concerned. I love that Venus in Pisces is making a conjunction to the North Node, and this could bring a moment of destined, soul-connected meeting, for example, and that both Venus and the North Node will harmonize with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, and this expands the blessings that we may receive from this eclipse. Plus, we also have the minor grand trine, aka magic triangle, that I've been speaking about in my videos. And I will say more about that when I do a separate video for you on this solar eclipse in Aquarius, which will be my next video. But I will tell you now who will most feel this eclipse at 28 degrees, 56 minutes. If you have planets or points between 24 and 29 degrees of the fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, or Taurus, you will feel this solar eclipse in Aquarius most intensely. But also, if you have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees of the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you will also feel this first eclipse of 2026 most powerfully. And that said, I always have to say, you are going to feel the themes of this eclipse at the very least, wherever you have 28 degrees of Aquarius in your natal astrology chart, and we will all feel this collectively, especially because Aquarius is connected to the collective, humanity, human rights, what is best for everyone, also technology, AI, the internet, the power grid. I will have much more to share with you on this solar eclipse in my next video. Also on February 17th, the day of the solar eclipse, we have the Chinese New Year beginning with the year of the fire horse, which I absolutely love. Freedom, independence, blazing a new trail, allowing yourself to express fully, authentically, be you. These are some of the energies that the year of the fire horse brings. And compared to the year of the snake, which was 2025, where we were shedding a skin with that snake, and there are beautiful things about shedding a skin. Beautiful. You could have had a Kundalini awakening. You could have had wonderful moments of illumination, realization, understanding things from a different vantage point, freeing yourself from the inside out. Now with the year of the horse, it could feel like you're being let out of the gate. You're being told to go for it. And I always get the image of horses galloping on the beach. On February 18th, the sun will leave Aquarius and enter Pisces. So happy birthday to all of you beautiful Piscean people. Pisces season is a great time to take a break. Many of us are not aware of this. When we have the sun in Pisces and or other energies, other personal planets in Pisces at the same time, we often feel more tired. Maybe because Pisces energy is connected to our immune systems, it's connected to the higher realms, it's often where we want to escape, we want a vacation, we just need more rest. We're done thinking, we don't want to think so much, and especially this month with all of the Uranus energy, you could really be ready to get away or just take a staycation in your home and relax as much as possible. What I love about the sun in Pisces is our increased intuition, the deep empathy and compassion. It's a great time to heal from a heartache. It is a great time to forgive yourself, forgive another, Practice radical self-compassion and spend more time in the energy of your soul, bringing that unconditional love of the divine. And you can do this with intention. You can do it with intention, but I also like to sense, feel, and imagine that I am bringing those rays of healing light down through my crown, down through every chakra, and taking some nice deep breaths and releasing what is ready to release. On February 20th, this is the epic, and it is epic, my friend. This has never before happened in our human history at this particular degree point, which happens to be the 0 point of Aries, the very first sign of the zodiac. It can't get any more brand new beginnings, fresh start than this. Saturn and Neptune will meet up for their history-making conjunction in this fire sign that wants to go, move forward. Just say yes, follow your inspiration, go toward your passion. And when I say that, some people say, oh, sure, that's easy for you to say. What if I can't afford to leave my job and say yes to my passion? So I want to be clear. That's not what I'm saying. There are a lot of ways to say yes to our passion. And if you are feeling a void of inspiration right now, and all you can hear is that voice in your head that's telling you why you can't say yes to your passion, or that you don't know what you're passionate about, and so on, check out my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling, because I give you a lot of tips in that book and share stories and how I went about the process of saying yes to my heart. And I know that that's not easy, because we are wired. Our mind is wired to say no. Our mind is wired to say no to anything that would scare the ego. And the ego is pretty much scared of any kind of change at all, no matter how wonderful it might look if we accomplish what we want to accomplish. So Saturn coming together with Neptune in Aries do want to help us to make a new vision, a new dream, an inspired new reality, help us to bring that down to earth. But in Aries energy, our heart has to be ignited, or we won't muster the energy to see it through. So I have a separate video for you on this transit. I will link to it at the end of this video. But at the very least, my friend, I want to encourage you to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to at least begin to dream again. You don't have to follow through on the dream, but begin to let the new possibilities flow into your consciousness. And speaking of new possibilities, on February 22nd, be open to conversations, communications, new ideas, light bulb moments perhaps. Be open to them flowing in. Why? Because Mercury in Pisces will make a beautiful harmonious trine to Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. So this is another one of those the sun comes out today kind of transits. Or at least the rays of the sun begin to break through the clouds on this day. And if you're like me, because I am now living in the Pacific Northwest, which is gray a lot of the time, when the rays of the sun come through the clouds, it's a day to celebrate. So Mercury trining Jupiter is good news. It's something that someone says that expands you. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, it expands us in ways that make us feel more emotionally secure. This is what we want in Jupiter and Cancer energy. We want to feel emotionally secure. We want to feel loved. We want to feel cherished. We want to feel like our loved ones have our back. So the blessing that you could receive through a communication, through information, through your own automatic writing to spirit, perhaps, that's Mercury too. What could come through is something that is positive for your home, your family. It could be connected to your mother or the mother line, or even an opportunity to heal your ancestral line. And on February 25th, Mercury is going to station retrograde. It's going to station retrograde in Pisces. And yes, we know that Mercury stations retrograde at least 3 times a year. This retrograde will go from the 25th of February to March 20th. The degrees that it will travel over, it will begin at 22 degrees of Pisces. It will travel back to 8 degrees. So if you have planets or points between 8 and 22 degrees of the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you will feel this Mercury retrograde more intensely. But it can help a lot during a Mercury retrograde if we can simply remember that it is temporary. It often involves communication glitches, transportation issues, travel can get snagged, our devices can go wonky. The more that we can be flexible and understand that it is Mercury retrograde going on after all, the easier it is to get through these things and fix what needs fixing. On February 27th, we will have our very last square of a personal planet to Uranus. This is Mars this time, squaring Uranus. Mars can be conflict, Mars can be mojo and inspiration and anything to do with the physical body. And so because it's Mars square Uranus, we can be more accident prone. This is a really good time to be extra mindful of driving for sure, or using power tools or electrical appliances or anything to do with cooking. But like all the Uranus squares this month, we can have those eureka moments. We can have a moment where we say, F it, I'm done. I'm done with you fill in the blank. It could be a last straw moment, but only if subconsciously you were waiting for something to give you a reason or something to help you over the edge into freedom, my friend, into freedom. Keep in mind, Uranus wants to free and liberate us. Finally, on February 28th, the day after this Mars-Uranus square, Mercury is going to meet up with Venus. Mercury will be retrograde at this point, but nevertheless, it is a great day to send a love note, an email, or text, including to yourself, and a really good time to connect with somebody that you haven't talked with in a while. A lot of times a Mercury retrograde opens up an opportunity for a second chance, as we say, or for an opportunity to have closure with someone, or just to reconnect with someone that we really love or enjoy that we haven't spoken to in a while. Mercury making a conjunction to Venus is also lovely for treating yourself and or another to a great meal, creative play, cuddling and watching a movie, anything Venusian, love, money, beauty, pleasure. Just make sure you take advantage of this day to say, I love you to somebody that you truly care about. Okay, my beautiful friend, let us do your 12-sign monthly horoscopes now. Listen to your rising sign. Your rising sign is the area of your natal chart corresponding to the area and themes in your life in which you will feel this month of February most personally. Also listen to your moon and your sun signs because they will give you additional themes and intuitive messages and card readings that are often quite relevant for you as well. And we're going to start with Pisces. Beautiful Pisces, your birthday season is coming up when the sun enters your sign on February 18th. But before I get to that, we want to start with the beginning of the month. And even before I get to that, I want to say happy birthday to those of you who have birthdays this month of February. Right out of the gate on February 1st, we're going to have a dramatic full moon in Leo in your 6th house of daily work, wellness on all levels, pets, your lifestyle. This is connected to coworkers, working environments. It's connected to the rhythm of your life, beautiful Pisces. And you of all signs tend to be very intimately in touch with the rhythm of life. Why? Because you are meant to go with the flow of your own spirit. Now, we could say everyone's meant to go with the flow of their own spirit, but Pisces energy in particular is connected to the divine realms and your psychic intuition. And Pisces energy brings with it the gift of being able to flow with what your spirit is guiding you toward. And I know those are big ways of describing your sign, but that phrase of living in alignment with your own inner rhythm, I believe, is very much a part of what many Pisces want. Leave me a comment. Let me know if that's true for you. So your 6th house is your day in and your day out, your routines and how you work and what you do for work and all of that. And so A full moon is about completion, closure, often an ending, or it is about a manifestation, an illumination, a truth coming to light. So, of course, Pisces, only you know what this means for you. And this full moon is happening on the day that this video goes live. And I've already done a separate video for you on this full moon. But the new and full moons are always very important transits of the month. So they need to be talked about. And you could have already felt this full moon. You could be feeling this full moon a week before or a week after. During this full moon, we have a party of planets in Aquarius, and you have already felt this because they've been transiting in your 12th house. And they've been here for a little while now, the end of January. And of course, the 12th house is a whole other world. And you, Pisces, again, you are, most of you, and I don't like to make generalizations, but the 12th house is the realm of Pisces. That's your house in the big zodiac, traditionally. So the subconscious mind, reprogramming your subconscious mind, if necessary, to bring you in alignment with your spirit, your pure love spirit, beautiful Pisces. The inner narratives that we have going on, because we have a story about our lives, every one of us. We have a story about it that can change, of course, and hopefully it does change and get updated if it's not empowering. But the 12th house is also connected to where we can self-sabotage, we can have self-doubt. We are bringing, I believe, the bigger picture of the 12th house is we are meant to bring our gifts, talents, and our true spirit and often our inner superpowers, our spiritual superpowers. We're meant to bring those out into the world, but often they have to first go through kind of a subconscious clearing process before we can do that. So, there's other things that fall here as well, of course, your own spiritual awakening, astral travel, other worldly kinds of experiences, magic and synchronicities, magical feeling moments, divine downloads, angelic visitations, channeling, mediumship, and more, spiritually based businesses. So with a full moon here and all of these planets having transited here at the end of January, and then also transiting here much of the month, it's going to take a while for many of these planets to leave Aquarius and go into your sign, Pisces. And when they're in Aquarius, they're also going to square Uranus and Taurus. So this means that this month, as I speak about in part 1 of this video, in much more depth, in the dates that go along with those Uranus squares, this means that some of you will course correct. Some of you will get a wake-up call. Some of you will get a light bulb moment or something disruptive that shows you something that you need to know. Not everyone will have that experience, but some of us will. And when we have the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, also the same day that the Chinese New Year, year of the horse, begins, which I'm so excited about. But as we have that solar eclipse in Aquarius at the almost last degree of Aquarius in your 12th house, Pisces, and it's squaring Uranus, you could feel this eclipse intensely, especially if you have planets or points in your sign in the early degrees. That eclipse, being a solar eclipse, a new beginning, destiny-driven eclipse, is waking us up to a new vision, a lot of us, or a course-corrected vision maybe. Maybe we had a vision and we're changing it. So that's exciting if you're ready to create a new vision in that area of your 12th house, which has to do with all the psychically oriented, otherworldly themes that I just mentioned. Or it may be about you, because early degrees of your sign will feel it, and it could be your own identity, a role that you play, a new project, a new job, a new business, a shift in a relationship, a status in a relationship changing, any relationship, not just romantic. It could be family, it could be friendship, it could be any relationship that, where you have their back, they've had your back, and if anything has changed in that relationship, you could want to renegotiate boundaries, or you could find a relationship ending or a relationship beginning. And these can be, of course, business partnerships too. It's not always romantic. It could be family too. So Pisces, when will the energy shift this month for you? On February 18th, when the sun enters your sign. And this is the house of you. So everything I just talked about applies for the sun being in your sign. The sun is coming out in your sign, Pisces. The sun is shining its light, and you are meant to shine your light. And of course, we're always meant to shine our light, but when the sun is transiting our first house, there's an extra emphasis on our life force energy, because the first house is also our vitality. So this is a good time to be aware of your vitality. Is there anything that you want to shift in how you are taking care of your body? We'll need extra sleep this month, probably because of the Uranus squares. We'll be more electrified. We will need more grounding. We will need more naps. We will need more just being very aware of our physical bodies. And our mental health too, because Uranus can really affect our nervous system as well. So the Mercury retrograde, the first one of this year, is happening on the 25th of this month, and it is going to be in your sign, Pisces. So it will be in your first house, and that means these themes of your identity, roles, appearance, vitality, your self-image, how you want others to see you, how you see yourself. Any meeting, for example, in which you are introducing yourself could, if it's happening during this Mercury retrograde, if you have an important meeting, for example, or you're meeting someone, you just meet somebody in a coffee shop, meet somebody. I don't know why I'm getting an image of a trampoline. I'm sure a lot of people use trampolines, but also there are like fun zones with trampolines. So there are ways that we can, and I happen to love trampolines, but there are a lot, maybe that's a metaphor, right? A metaphor for flying high, or maybe it is, just a metaphor for being at the gym, being physical. That's the first house too. It's the physical body. So anything that you end up doing, if you are having a first meeting with somebody, just know that Mercury retrograde themes can come into play. Like, it's a good idea to give yourself extra time to get there. To know that if you have one of those feelings, like I've known this person before, that's much more likely to happen during a Mercury retrograde, is to have those moments, those faded moments of feeling like I've known you before. Also, Mercury retrogrades are times that we can have quote unquote second chances with people, or maybe you applied for a job and you didn't get the job, and then now it becomes another opening happens with the person that they gave the job to, that doesn't work out, and then they call you. Things like that can happen during a Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrogrades are not all just frustration, annoyance, etc. They can bring great things. And then on February 20th, Saturn and Neptune will meet up for their epic conjunction in Aries. And for you, this is happening in your second house of earned income, values, self-worth, deserving, material security. So Saturn and Neptune in their highest octave coming together at the 0 point of Aries are encouraging you to let go of something if it needs to be let go of. So it could be like the way you used to make money, you're letting go of that, you're changing a job or a business or something like that. Or you are up-leveling your self-worth. You are working to align your actual physical life with your values, which could have changed quite a bit in the last year or 2 or 5 or whatever, right? Especially with Saturn and Neptune in your sign, Pisces. And it is a big shift to have them now in Aries. Very different energy, right? Aries is fire, and I don't want to go at length into this because I have a whole separate video for you on this transit. But what I want to say right now is that you are really supported to envision, if you're not already doing it, envision a fresh start for yourself here. A new dream, the highest octave of Neptune. Dream, vision, the ideal. Yes, we have to bring the ideal back down to reality, Saturn. In your second house. So that could mean a new job, a side gig, a different way of earning money, or retiring, or winning the lottery, or, just doing the inner work to up-level your sense of deserving and self-worth. So Pisces, let us see what the cards have to say for you for this month, your birthday month. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for liking and sharing and subscribing to the channel. Let's see what the cards have to say for you for your month of February. Pisces. Your card is, oh my gosh. First of all, It's progress. Second of all, check out the image. Isn't this cool, given that we are now in the year of the horse as of February 17th? Wow, this is such a great omen. It's saying you are going to have a year in which you really experience progress. This says, charge forward, be willing to make mistakes. Beautiful Pisces, do you resonate with this? Charge forward. You are raring to go, this card says. If anything that I shared resonates for you and you want to share with me in the comments with all of us, I would absolutely love to hear. Aquarius, Aquarius, beautiful Aquarius. Your month of February is going to have some interesting moments, I think. And I'll tell you why in a moment, but I want to say happy birthday to those of you with February birthdays. Aquarius, if you watched part 1 of this video, and if you haven't, I highly encourage you to watch it. It is so much about you. The transits that are happening for you because we have all the personal planets for a significant amount of the month still in your sign, and they are squaring. They are all going to come to that 27-degree point of Uranus and Taurus, and they're going to make that square to Uranus. So you are going to feel that if you have planets or points in the high degrees of your sign, Aquarius. But the beginning of the month opens with a full moon in Leo across from you in your 7th house. And of course, this brings in themes of what's going on in your committed relationships, whether they're friendships, whether they're business or romantic. They're any relationships that are mutually reciprocal. You have their back, they have your back, spoken or unspoken agreements. We often associate the 7th house with contractual agreements, and full moons are always completions, endings, full circle, kind of graduation feeling moments, wonderful moments when you could feel like that, you know, everything is coming together. It can be that. It could be, for example, for some of you, some people do get married on full moons. Some people do propose on full moons. The energy is high on a full moon, and when I'm premiering this video is on the full moon. So, you know, for a lot of you, all those plans and all of that obviously have already been made. But I still think it's important to talk about this full moon because it is beginning the month, and it's also, we can feel full moons days before, days after. So when you're watching this, a lot of you, we're very much in the full moon energy, and it is bringing your focus most likely to a relationship, or if not a relationship, and these can be business relationships too, business partnerships, for example, or romantic partnerships, or like I said, any kind of close relationship. This full moon is bringing your focus to one or more relationships. And it could be patterns in the relationships. It could be joyful completions. It could be joyful, you know, there's what we call conscious uncoupling. That could be happening for some of you. You could be coming together and raising the level of your commitment, going from together to moving in together, for example. Obviously, this will be different for all of you. Those are a few things that you might experience. Or you could just be potentially looking at your own inner relationship to your spirit, to your soul. You could be looking at your relationship to romance. You could be looking at your relationship to commitment and going through a clearing, a shift, a heart healing around anything that has kept you from having the kind of relationship that you want. And I want you to know as well that all of these planets that are transiting in your 1st house, this is the house of you. These are planets in Aquarius, all the personal planets in Aquarius transiting in your house of identity, your roles, your appearance, your vitality. Often this brings into play a job, a role in a job, a role in a family, a role in any relationship that is really up for you right now, that's taking your time and energy. And I don't mean that in a negative way, just one that is kind of center stage in your life right now. And also when we have so many planets transiting our 1st house, we can be in demand, we can be in flux, we can be in the process of, working on ourselves, doing inner work on ourselves. We can be working on a health issue. We can be, and when I say working on, I just mean working through, we can be our focus. These transits are really about, where is our focus? Where's our energy going? So your energy could be going to your physical body. It could be going to a role. It could be going to reinventing yourself. You could be thinking about how you want to do things differently in your work or in relationships. You could be thinking about moving. You could be thinking about any very significant area of your life, because that's what house transits tend to do. They take our focus to who we are now, who we want to be, what's working for us, and what's not working for us. On the 17th, Aquarius, see, this month is so much about you, because we're going to have our first eclipse, and it's a solar eclipse, and it squares Uranus, which is more electrical lightning bolt kind of energy, and it's in your sign. So this is a month of change for most Aquarians, and especially if you have planets or points in the higher degrees of your sign. This eclipse is almost 29 degrees, 28 degrees, 56 minutes, almost 29 degrees. And all the themes I just mentioned about your identity and your roles, your appearance, your vitality, are all going to be part of this eclipse energy for sure. Or you could find that someone that you love, a partner, for example, that you haven't been living with, now says, I want to move in together. That could be a surprise too. Now, it's a square to Uranus, so usually those kinds of surprises are Uranus, more harmonious Uranus transits. But if there's parts of you that are in conflict, that phrase inner conflict, if you're having an inner conflict about something and you get a surprising request or a surprising invitation, that could create an inner conflict for you. And eclipses are meant to course correct us. They're meant to wake us up. If we have a discombobulating moment, we're meant to see something that we didn't see before, or to work through something so that we can free ourselves, we can liberate ourselves to say yes to something with our whole heart. And then on February 18th, the energy will shift, because the sun will leave your sign, Aquarius, and it will enter Pisces. And for you, Pisces energy is in your second house. So when the sun moves into the second house, anything you learned, worked through, or experienced with the sun in your first house, you then apply to the second house, which is your self-love, self-worth, deserving, and aligning your life with your values, making choices that are aligned with your values, and also your earned income. This is the house of material security. So our focus can shift to material security. And when we have the sun moving through the second house, that is when often our finances can be looking pretty good. We can be feeling pretty good. A lot of it has to do with our life force energy. That's the sun. Do we feel in our vitality? If we're tired, if we're, if we have any, if we're going through a grief process, for example, if we are not happy with where we are with work, then it can be different, especially because Mercury is going to be retrograde in this house beginning on February 25th for several weeks. And so when Mercury is retrograde and it goes backwards through the degrees that it transited in Pisces, it's often saying, rethink what you decided before, or are you sure? Or you're fixing something. It's not always that. It's not always like I'm thinking about, do I want a new job, or am I making enough money? Or, it's not always those big questions and big decisions, but it can be little glitches and things that happen that also awaken us to a change that we might want to make or need to make. And then on February 20th, we get to have the epic conjunction of Saturn coming together with Neptune. And for you, this is happening in the third house of moving and shaking. What does this mean? Saturn and Neptune. There are so many different ways this can play out, and I have a separate video where I go into these different ways. For purposes of this horoscope, what I will say is that the highest octave of this is making a new vision, dream, ideal reality real, bringing it down to earth. So Saturn and Neptune coming together at the 0 point of Aries on February 20th, they're asking you, basically they're saying, it's the zero point. All is possible, pure potential. They're asking you, what do you want to create now in your house of moving and shaking, which is your communication, your mindset, your transactions. It's mercurial, so it often involves freelance work or um, I know not everybody has their own business or has a side gig or things like that, but if you do, or you do something in which you have your own website, or you in some way share energy, exchange energy with people in your local environment, especially, or through a website or through online kinds of networking. Also, what falls here is teaching, learning, meetups, you know, meeting people for the first time, doing different activities. Pickleball, that's a big one these days. Obviously, that's only true for some people, some places, but you can meet people through a meetup group doing learning about astrology or learning about Reiki or learning about card reading, so many different things. Music, obviously, every topic. It could be any topic. There's so many different meetup groups. This house also connects with your relationships to siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family, your devices and your vehicles, and short trips. So if you want to start something new with a business, for example, or a website, that would fall here beautifully. If you want to begin to take long weekend trips or, do hiking or do something in your local area that you haven't been doing before, maybe you want to teach or facilitate a group. Maybe you want to shift where you work out, or you want to start doing a different kind of workout. And that means going to a different place, a new place, or change your eating habits. So that means you change where you buy your food, for example. You get the idea. And beautiful Aquarius, I want you to know also that Saturn and Neptune and Aries make a lovely sextile to your energy. So if you take the initiative to begin to start something, and maybe you already have, especially if you have planets or points in the very early degrees of your sign, 0 to 3 degrees. You may have already been working with this energy, the Saturn Neptune energy in Aries in 2025. Now it's coming back around, and this is when we tend to want to put solid legs to a dream or a vision. If we were just playing with it before, if we were just in the dreaming phase, or we were just, throwing around some different possibilities. And this could also be, because it's your communication and mindset, it could have anything to do with speaking, writing, anything that you might want to publish, or a blog, or doing a regular, contributing on social media, for example, by sharing your writing or your speaking or your thoughts. Beautiful Aquarius, let me now pull a card for you. I'm going to shuffle for a moment first. And while I shuffle, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your energy with me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing this video if you would, and for subscribing if you haven't already. I will do my next video on the solar eclipse in Aquarius, which is super big for you, Aquarius, considering it's in your sign. So if you haven't yet subscribed and you want to see that video, be sure that you do, and tap the notification bell as well. And let us now pull a card for you. Aquarius. The card is patience. It says, be patient, be willing to pass up good for great. So intuitively, you probably know what this is talking about when I said those words, right? What is just good right now that could be great for you? Well, this is saying you may need some patience. You may need to wait. If there's something that's come your way that's pretty good, whether it's a job or a romance or a car, whatever it is. It's funny that car came to me, and then I was thinking, yeah, you're getting the Saturn Neptune conjunction in your third house, and cars fall there too. Maybe you get an offer to buy a car at a good price, and you're like, well, that'd be a good car. That'd be a practical car. But maybe you want a great car. Maybe you want a car that you've never had before. This is just one very, very small example that may not fit a lot of you, but think of it as a metaphor, right? Maybe you have a job opportunity and it's like, Yeah, I'd be good at that. It makes decent money. I could do that. Is if there's not passion for you there in Aries energy, Saturn and Neptune transiting your third house in Aries energy, we are meant to pioneer something. For us, it's pioneering. We don't know if we can succeed at it. We don't know if we can be successful at it, but the passion, the inspiration pulls us forward. It's a hero's journey. Much more on that in my separate video that I've already done on Saturn and Neptune and Aries. But for you, beautiful Aquarius, this may apply to that transit. Be patient. Something better is on its way to you if you allow yourself to stay true to your passionate vision. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, your month of February, which is going to be quite the month of February because we are having so many transits that we will likely really feel. Just the Uranus transits alone that I talk about in part one of this video, Uranus is going to square all of the personal planets transiting through Aquarius. But not only that, we have the epic Neptune Saturn conjunction this month. So let's break this month down for you. When we first start in February, the very first day of the month, when this video goes live, there will be a full moon in Leo in your 8th house. The 8th house is a house of transformation. It's a house of death and rebirth. This is where we have emotional attachments. We don't want to let go of them. We don't want to release, and we want to maintain. Basically, we want to maintain everything that is taking care of us in our financial world and in our partnership world, whether it's a business partner or a romantic partner or somebody in our life that we feel they have our back, we have their back, and this is an important and we share resources with them, meaning time, money, energy, or it is our investments, it's our real estate. If we own a home, for example, it's anything that we look to for stability, long-term financial stability. So it's both partnerships and financial here. And we don't want to lose anything in the 8th house. And this is why it's the house of death and rebirth transformation, because when something does change, and I'm not saying you're going to lose anything at all, stay with me. But when something shifts in our life in one of these houses, that can be when we really have a moment of darkness that then turns into a rebirth kind of experience. So, is there anything for you changing, Capricorn, in this area of your life, in those things that I just mentioned? Is anything shifting for you, either financially or in a partnership? That is the question. And because it's a full moon, it could bring an illumination for you. It could bring something that you didn't see before. This is also taxes and loans, where we work with a bank or we work with a mortgage company to facilitate buying property, for example. So that could be part of it for you. It's an ending culmination or a full circle graduation moment or a manifestation. So you could have started something that now you're beginning to make progress on in any of these areas as well. During this full moon, we have many planets. I talk about this in my separate video on the Leo full moon, which I will link to at the end of this video if you'd like to go back and watch that. But during this full moon, we have a number of planets in Aquarius, and those planets are in your 2nd house of earned income, material security, self-love, self-worth, deserving, self-reliance. So those themes can come up for you as well, especially because even after this full moon, a little over 2 weeks later, we have the February 17th solar eclipse in Aquarius. And the solar eclipse is a new beginning. It's a new vision. And it is a fresh start, but it's an eclipse, and eclipses are, they can pack up, I don't like to use the words pack a punch. I already let it out, right? The words came out before I could stop them. So let me qualify. They can be electrifying new moons. It's a solar eclipse, it's a new moon. They can electrify us. And this one will electrify us that much more. Why? Because it is squaring Uranus, and Uranus is an electrical energy. It can shift the nervous system. It can make us more tense and more agitated. And this is why I talk in part one about all the things you can do to keep your energy in a good, grounded, calm place during this eclipse, and make sure you get extra sleep if you need it. If your sleep is disrupted, that's very, very common during an eclipse, especially one squaring Uranus. So, this said, Capricorn, this eclipse in your second house could excite you about an income making opportunity, because it's a solar eclipse. So it's what's your new vision? What do you want to create, manifest going forward? It could bring in an opportunity for money. It could bring in an opportunity to switch out a way you've been earning money and, bring in a way that will be better for you financially. Or you could be during this eclipse realizing that you want to increase your sense of deserving, you want to increase your sense of self-worth that much more, and that this eclipse could facilitate that for you. And then on the 18th, the energy will really shift when the sun leaves Aquarius and enters Pisces. And Pisces energy makes a lovely sextile to your energy, Capricorn. So it's nice to know that when you take some sort of action, when you initiate something in Pisces energy, you are more likely to receive something that feels like an opportunity, or something being solved, something coming to fruition in a tangible way. Where will you feel this? In your house, third house of your local neighborhood, neighbors, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family. Also communication, your mindset, emails, writing, journal writing, teaching and learning, short trips. There's so many different things that fall into this house, I know. Also websites, if you do freelance work, if you are starting a project that requires a website, if you're doing, for example, anything like a fundraiser, anything that uses technology, if you're attending a meetup or you're facilitating a meetup group or any kind of networking group, and any people that you come into contact with that you have conversations with, including the conversations on the fly, at the gym, with the person that you're checking out, your groceries with, or the person standing behind you, you start to talk, in a coffee shop, you get the idea. Your devices fall here, your vehicles are here as well. And because we're going to have a Mercury retrograde in this house in Pisces, devices really, you just really want to make sure you back everything up, because Mercury retrogrades, as I'm sure you already know, Capricorn, are just famous for glitches and internet things and all of that. And when it's happening in the third house that is Mercury ruled and it's retrograde, we're more likely to have those kinds of things happen, or to be late to meetings, or have something just go wonky, because that can just happen. But you are getting this lovely sextile from this energy, which really helps and makes it less likely that you will have something really difficult happen during a Mercury retrograde, when you're getting all of this positive energy flow. And then on February 20th, that is when we have really the big event of this month. I mean, we have an eclipse too, and they're only 3 days apart, and chances are they will just flow right into each other, and we'll see what happens. But, and I'm talking collectively now when I say that. But Saturn and Neptune meeting up for their epic conjunction in Aries, it really is going to be history making. It hasn't happened ever before in our history, at the 0 point of Aries, the very first sign of the zodiac. And where is this happening for you, Capricorn? In your house of home, family, roots, belonging, ancestral, healing, inner child, conditioning. What is this Saturn and Neptune meeting up here doing? They're really asking you to check in with, and many of you have already done this if you have planets or points in the early degrees of your sign. Check in with, am I happy where I am? Do I love my home? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to change my home? Is there a new dream around home that you want to create? Saturn and Neptune, the highest octave. Neptune, the ideal. Saturn, let's make it real. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it's cute. I love it when I can laugh at myself. So, what would you like to, this can be building, Saturn, building something. Neptune, we can get very dreamy with Neptune. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how we get going, right? We get dreamy, and that's what it starts with. It starts with a dream. But because it makes a square to your energy, it gets you in motion. Squares say time to take some action, and it does not mean you have to make it happen now by any means. Taking action can be you share your dream with another person. A lot of different ways that we can share. Or, where would I want to live, for example? Or, what would make me feel like I belong where I am? Do I want to live in a different place, or do I want to change the home that I'm in? Or, if I have roommates, do I want to not have roommates anymore? Or if I don't have roommates, if I live alone, do I want to get a roommate? You get the idea. So, beautiful Capricorn. Those are the most important transits of the month for you. And now I want to pull a card for you. And as I'm shuffling, I want to say thank you for your presence. Thank you for being part of this community by subscribing. Thank you for liking and commenting on this video if you choose to, and sharing if it inspired you. So Capricorn, that said, let me now pull a card for you, Capricorn. And you get choice. It says, reconsider a commitment. You have the right to change your mind. Is there something that you committed to that now you really don't want to do it? I believe this is a card that is very clear. I believe that, the cardinal signs are really getting nudged to release commitments to people, situations, jobs, or anything that you feel was like old vibration. It was the old vibration. It was the old you. It was before you, the changes you made, before you quote unquote raised your vibration. Maybe something that has felt disappointing. Maybe something that has broken your heart. Someone that hasn't showed up for you in the way that you show up for them. I believe it's something like that, but it's often, especially in Capricorn energy for you guys, because you can have that strong sense of duty, very strong sense of duty. It's very karmic often, but a karmic relationship may be ending or have ended. And I believe that this is probably what this is connected to, or could be a relationship to a job, but there's some karmic connection in there too, right? So reconsider a commitment. You have the right to change your mind. Beautiful Capricorn, if you were wondering about this could be the answer for you. If you want to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Happy month of February. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius, beautiful Sag. This month begins on February 1st with a beautiful full moon in Leo that trines your energy in your 9th house of expansion, Sag. This beautiful full moon for you is connected to many different themes, many different possible themes. Spiritual beliefs, new horizons. This could be publishing, podcasting, broadcasting, and this can be higher learning, meaning that you are graduating from a degree program or a certification program. You can be on a quest, you could be seeking, you could be traveling, you could be asking, what is my next adventure? Or you could be, closing out an adventure, closing out a spiritual journey, leaving a retreat center, sharing your philosophy, your truth, getting all kinds of illuminations or breakthroughs or an aha moment about something that in your past has felt oppressive. Or you could be seeking justice with this moon, because that's the 9th house as well. You could be leaving a place that you lived that was in another country. A full moon is often an ending, culmination, manifestation moment, something coming full circle. We don't always leave things that were not good for us. Sometimes we leave something because it's come to its natural ending, right? So that's something that we want to keep in mind, because it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be that something in your life, you're just having an awareness, 9th house, you're understanding, you're having a moment of awakening about what is complete for you. Or something, like I said, could be manifesting. You could be starting a brand new adventure. You could be really lit up about something. And in the 9th house, an adventure does not have to necessarily be a physical long distance travel kind of experience. It can be an adventure that you know, whatever it is going to expand you, is going to be a match for your energy, for your higher vibration. And yeah, there's often, it's a hero's journey. There's often challenges with every hero's journey, right? That's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we become the people that our souls wanted to, it's the spiritual adventure, human adventure as spiritual beings kind of experience, a growth experience. So on February 17th, we're going to have a solar eclipse in Aquarius. And for you, that's going to be in your third house. This is where all the planets in Aquarius have been transiting. And where, by the way, they're going to be transiting when we have the Leo full moon. They will be transiting in your third house. I only mention that, going back to the full moon for a moment, because that third and ninth house axis is the axis of where do I want to be locally? What's the location I want to be in, whether it's through work or actually living location? And this is the axis of learning and growth and meeting new people and having new connections and, lots of communication. Now, the solar eclipse in Aquarius is happening in the same house. So I'll throw a few more themes in there for you. Short trips, websites, whether you're fine-tuning one or starting a new one. I already mentioned networking and meeting up with people and having tete-a-tetes, as we say, coffee dates. This is also relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Or it can be, a relationship with a landlord or neighbors. I think I said neighbors already. It can be a relationship with, if you're getting a mortgage, for example. Devices and vehicles fall in this house as well. Communication, mindset, all transactions, really, all communications. So what's interesting about this eclipse is that, and challenging for many people will be, is that it is squaring Uranus. And Uranus is doing its last pass in Taurus. I speak more about this in part 1 of this video. But for you, Sag, because it's at the very end of Aquarius, and that is very close to the beginning of Pisces, and Pisces squares your energy. If you have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees of your energy, then you will get a square from this eclipse to your energy. Now, keep in mind, you might be getting really positive aspects from this eclipse to other planets or points in your chart, which is always true. Which is why, you really want to do a full look at your whole chart to see how an eclipse is affecting you, because often when I do readings for clients, for example, there are often 3 or 4 different ways the eclipse is interacting with their natal planets and points. And so we want to integrate those and see what the full story is for you. On February 18th, the sun will enter Pisces. The energy will really shift when the sun leaves Aquarius and enters Pisces, and it will be in your house of home, family, roots, belonging, ancestral healing, inner child healing, childhood conditioning. And a sun transit to our 4th house is always asking us, am I happy with where I live? Do I feel a sense of belonging? Do I feel rooted here? Do I feel in connection to the land or in connection to something or someone that makes me happy living where I am? Makes me feel like I belong here. So those questions could come up for you when the sun is here, especially because Mercury is going to retrograde in this house for you, Sag. And when Mercury retrogrades here, we often review, rethink, things that especially have to do with these themes of home and family. It's also a really good time, Mercury retrograde, to do inner healing work. And some people love to go on vacations during a Mercury retrograde. Not everybody, but some people swear by traveling, even though there are often travel glitches, or there can be, not always during a Mercury retrograde, but there can be. And Pisces energy does make a square to your energy. So if you have planets or points between 8 and 22 degrees of your sign, then at some point during the Mercury retrograde, you will get a square to those planets or points. Those are usually quick moving transits. Often they are very short. If there is some sort of glitch or annoyance, it's very quick and it gets resolved. And it often is a sign for us to slow down, stop, slow down, breathe. Especially if we are so wound up where we think I can't make a mistake, I can't, everything has to go according to plan. Sag, you're pretty good with rolling with the flow, so to speak, going with the flow. You're pretty good with that, I have to say. Usually, you know, I have a Sag rising daughter. Usually she's like, you know, I'm disappointed. I really wanted to do that, or, oh, that's too bad. But she just kind of lets it go. I'm always impressed by that because that is not my Cancer moon, Cancer rising at all, which is like the Cancer clause going, no, I really wanted to do that. Laughing at myself, laughing at yourself is a good thing, right, Sag? So on February 20th, that's when we're going to have the epic conjunction of Saturn and Neptune meeting up in Aries. And I love this for you because it makes a trine to your energy. And this is really asking, Sag, what do you want as your new dream going forward? Saturn making it real, Saturn wanting to support making it real. Yes, that sometimes means we are first releasing or letting go of something, or something is washing away if it's no longer appropriate for us. I have a separate video for you on this transit where I talk about all of these ways that it can play out at more length. But it's happening in your 5th house of love, romance, children, and creativity. So this could be a creative awakening for you. It could be the start of a new love. It could be the start of something for your children or for your inner child. I call this house the house of inner child delight as well. This is, you know, I'm going to use the word yummy. Some of you don't like that. I got a comment from someone once who are like, as soon as you said the word yummy, I just said, forget it. You're not for me. Sometimes they just go, you can't please everyone. Anyway, not my goal to please everyone. Thank you for that digression, Sag. The yummy things of life. Yes, that's the 5th house. The delicious things of life. It is. I mean, it's love, romance, children, and creativity. It is adventure and freedom and, you know, the house of fun. It's the house of fun. It's connected to the heart. So what a beautiful place to have Saturn and Neptune transiting in your sign, especially because before this, Saturn and Neptune transited your 4th house, and that would not have been as easy, Sag. That would not have been as easy. That's the lowest point in our chart. You could have had changes in a relationship, especially someone you lived with. You could have had changes in your home, more than one change. You could have really had some sort of disappointment. Now, of course, Neptune can be disappointment in any house. So with this transit, a love could be leaving your life to open space for a new love to come into your life. Enough said on that transit, since there are so many things to talk about with you, and I want to pull a card for you. So I'm going to shuffle for you now. Thank you so much for being here with me, and thank you for taking a moment to like this video, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. It makes a huge difference. Tap that notification bell if you want to see my solar eclipse video, which is coming out next. And let's pull a card for you now. Sagittarius. Laughter is good, right, Sag? Laughter is good. Okay, here we go. Sag. Your card is listen to your wise self. Let your inner compass direct the course of your life. This is saying your inner compass is reliable. Your wise self knows your truth. And if you don't have somebody in your life that mirrors you, that as she is connecting to herself, right? And the mirroring and how important it is to have somebody who can be a mirror for us, who can be our creative champion, who can be the person that reflects back to us what we often don't see in ourselves. If you don't have that, maybe that's a nudge for some of you to reach out to somebody like that, but listen to your wise self. You have the answers within you. Beautiful, Sag. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, let's talk about your month of February. We are going to have a full moon in Leo in your 10th house of career, legacy, retirement, semi-retirement, life purpose expressed, or simply how you want to spend your time. That is happening on the 1st of the month, which is the day that this video premieres. So, and also you can feel full moons several days before, during the full moon, several days after, up to a week after, often, just FYI. But this full moon does make a square to your energy, and it's an ending, culmination, manifestation moment. They're oppositions, all full moons. We tend to feel them emotionally and in our relationships. So, all of those things are true regardless of what sign the full moon is in. But in this case, this full moon does make a square to your energy. And what I take from this, because we also have during this full moon a number of planets in your fourth, transiting your fourth house of home, family, roots, belonging, inner child conditioning, ancestral healing, relationships to our mothers, all these things. Um, because of this and Scorpio, uh, technically with the sun and moon in your 10th and 4th house, technically this full moon makes a T square to your energy. And all that means is that it can feel tight. It can feel like you are at a choice point. You don't have a lot of room. You can feel, you can just feel like I have to make a decision. You could feel like you're put on the spot. You could feel like time is up for deliberating, deliberating about something. And that's because the universe is wanting you to move you forward. It's wanting to push you forward. And nobody likes a push. I will fully acknowledge that. But because the full moon is in your 10th house of career, or again, some of you are retired. I know that some of you don't have careers. Some of you are asking what your passion is, what your purpose is, or what, how you can make your vocation, a passion, more of a career. Some of you might be asking that. Basically, this eclipse is saying you may feel tense, you may feel some pressure, but it's going to activate you into action. It's going to create movement in your life. And you could feel this really in any of these areas of your life, even in a relationship. You could feel it in a relationship as well. Now, and it could be a manifestation too. It could be something you worked really hard for and you had to push through a lot of tension to get to closure on something. Maybe you are closing something out in career and or your home situation, moving, for example, but you are also perhaps with that closure, a new door is opening and making room for something new. So that's good news. So February 17th, we have a solar eclipse in Aquarius. It happens at 28 degrees. If you have any planets or points at the high degrees, you're going to feel this more intensely, especially because it squares Uranus. And Uranus, of course, Scorpio has been transiting in your 7th house for a long time, 7th house of partnerships and close relationships. People have your back, people whose back you have, or maybe that's shifted. And, when we have Uranus in our 7th house and it's been there for a really long time and it's about to be ending, which probably makes you happy, Scorpio. Are you happy? Leave me a comment. Uranus is leaving your 7th house very shortly, to be exact, April 26th of this year. But the solar eclipse is going to make a square to Uranus in your 7th house. So if there is, and it's happening in your 4th house of home, roots, and conditioning, and belonging, and family. So if there's anything that's out of alignment for you in a relationship, this eclipse could show you what that is. But remember, this eclipse is a fresh start, new beginning, new vision too. So it's both. It's an ending and a new beginning, which eclipses and new and full moons, they often are, especially when we're at this kind of closing out of an era point. And it's a new era, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But you could feel like something is really potentially during the solar eclipse, one door is closing and one door is opening. All of these transits I go into at more length in part 1 of this video, and I am also going to do a video for you on the solar eclipse in Aquarius as my next video. So if you're not subscribed, maybe subscribe now and tap the notification bell so you will make sure and get a reminder of that video. And then February 18th, the sun will enter Pisces. That's a big shift from the sun in Aquarius energy. It's happening in your 5th house of love, romance, children, creativity, adventure, freedom, pleasure, fun, joy. There's nothing not to like about the sun moving through Pisces. Your water, Pisces water, you guys flow really well together. Not to say you've loved every Pisces that you've met in your life. I understand that. But your energy and Pisces energy really, it's called a trine. They trine each other, and trines bring Usually just a lot of ease and flow, and things tend to just sort of fall in our lap. And so keep in mind, Scorpio, that even though you've been, had all this Aquarius energy that's been squaring your energy, and that may have been very uncomfortable the last few days of January, especially when we had all those meetups of Pluto with the personal planets, and then a good part of this month too, squares to your energy from the transits I've already mentioned. But keep in mind that with the sun in Pisces, and then when the personal planets begin to move into Pisces, and I talk about those transits and all the dates in part 1 of this video, then things should start getting more flowing for you. You should start feeling like you're reaping the fruits of your labor more. We do have a Mercury retrograde in Pisces energy. I do have to say that. And that tends to feel like we are redoing or rethinking, or we're going back over, because the Mercury is going back over the degrees that it already transited. So that could mean that there's a rethinking, or maybe you're having conversations that you didn't have before that you needed to have with a lover, with a child. You could be, if you have children and they're young children, you could be rethinking parenting, ways of parenting. I know when I was a parent, well, I'm still a parent, obviously, but when my kids were young, let's say that, I was always reading parenting books. Oh my goodness. And then every time I figured out a way to facilitate, flow with my children, then something would change. They would change, and then I would have to find a new tool. So if any of you are parents, I really want to give you lots of validation for parenting being the hardest job, and also the most wonderful one in so many ways, of course. But also you could be rethinking a creative project because it's Mercury retrograde. So you could be saying, do I still want to write that book? Do I still, you fill in the blank. You could be asking, is this still right for me, Scorpio? Whether it's love, romance, or a parenting technique, or ways that you use your creativity, art making, or anything else you do that brings in your creative spark. Or you could be saying, I need to renew my creative spark. Mercury retrograde is sometimes saying, gives us a little bit of a nudge and says, like, where can we get that spark back? Or a spark back in a romance, for example. And then on February 20th, we have the epic conjunction of Saturn and Neptune re-entering Aries to stay. And this is happening in your house of daily work, schedules, routines, co-worker, relationships with co-workers. Slow down, Bets. Also, your relationship to your health, your relationship to how you move your body, what you eat, your lifestyle, and pets if you have a pet. So Saturn and Neptune here are traveling together, coming to this Aries point conjunction. That's a brand new beginning, the first degree of the zodiac, is asking you what dream, what vision, what new ideal for your daily life, your lifestyle, your daily work, your health, or your wellness. What do you want to co-create with the universe, with your soul, with your guides? Where do you want to make a shift? And this could mean something's leaving your life, because that's always how Neptune works. It can start as a disappointment or a dissolution of something, and then it can work into, so like a job could be ending or could have ended. And now you're opening up to a new dream. And that new dream could be, I want to live in a different lifestyle. I want to do the 4-hour work week. That's a book title, I know. I want something like that, paraphrasing. I want to do my life differently. Okay, so I have a separate video for you on that transit, because it is a really big transit, and I give you lots of different ways that it could be playing out and how you can best work with the energies. And so let us pull a card for you now, Scorpio. What does your heart most want? If time, money, and energy were not at issue, what would you go for? That's an important question, because otherwise, our mind tends to get in the way and tell us all the reasons we can't. Our life isn't set up for what we want, right? But with Saturn and Neptune in your 6th house, transiting your 6th house, it's saying you get to set up the life you want. You get to set up the lifestyle you want. And if your mind's like, no, I can't, here's all the reasons, say, thank you, mind. Thank you, mind, for telling me all the reasons. Thank you, mind. I'm going to write those down. I'm going to, you know, all the parts of us need a voice, right? Need to be allowed to voice their opinion and their worries and their concerns and their fears. Write them all down. Observe them, listen to them, but also write down the other thoughts. Write down the excitement. You know, when I was leaving the practice of law, I wanted to leave the practice of law, but I didn't know what was next at all. No clue. All I knew is that my kids were young at the time and I wanted to be flexible. I wanted to work from home. I wanted to, now so many people do work from home, but back then it was not as common at all. And so I, you know, I did a lot of writing to spirit. I did a lot of journaling. I wrote over and over again what it was that I wanted. And that was really effective. And I have a lot of other tools for you in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling, things you can do, stories that I share about what I did and what worked, so that the voices within you that need a voice can have a voice. And that's often how we finally get to a decision, or we finally get up the nerve to do something. And let's see now for you, Scorpio, what the cards have to say for you. Scorpio. Creativity. Your fifth house of Pisces, where the sun is going to come through, where Mercury's going to retrograde. And it says, express your creativity, delight in the mystery of your inner muse. So beautiful. So beautiful. I love that this, it looks like there's a little fairy or some sort of ethereal being is sitting on her hand, dancing, creating all kinds of glowing, heart healing light. Whatever it is that you entertain as a possibility could bring wonderful healing energy to your heart and joy for sure. Beautiful Scorpio, if anything that I shared resonates and you want to share with me in the comments, I would love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, what I love about February for you is that the new and full moons both harmonize with your energy beautifully. So the first lunation that we have is the first of the month, February 1st, the full moon in Leo. And the day that this video premieres, the full moon is happening. So we're right in the energy right now if you're watching this on Sunday when it premieres. But we also feel full moons several days before often, or several days after. So you could be feeling that as well. But Libra, you are going to, or are experiencing the full moon in your 11th house of dreams fulfillment. This is the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. It's friendships and supporters and allies. And really, this house is about what is next in your life. This house is associated with the World card in the tarot, which is a completion moment, a sense of I'm standing on the edge of a new beginning. I am looking out to the world and asking, what does my heart want most now? Now, this is a full moon, which is often a completion, an ending, or, you know, something that is coming to fruition. But it can also be, you know, like I'm getting an image when I say this of like a ripe peach, like something is ripe, something is ready, something's manifesting. It can be that as well. So let me know in the comments if you want to share how you're experiencing this full moon. But because there is a whole party of planets in Aquarius in your fifth house during this full moon standing across from the full moon, means that you probably had quite a bit of activity in fifth house matters, which would be love, romance, children, or your unbridled creative expression. You could have been finishing up a creative project. You could have been working through something in a love or romantic situation. You could have been, your focus could have been very much on children or your own creative child. But now that we are coming to this culmination in this with this full moon, something could be shifting for you, either in with these themes of the fifth house or the themes of the 11th house. A door could be closing as a new door is opening for you. And then we have a solar eclipse this month in Aquarius on February 17th, and that is going to be in your fifth house. So you can see how these lunations work together with the solar eclipse, which is a new beginning. It's a solar eclipse, and that's a new moon. So it's a new moon that is very amplified in energy, especially because it makes a square to Uranus, and squares to Uranus electrify our energy, and they can bring discombobulating moments and course corrections. I talk about this eclipse at more length in part 1 of this video. I will also do a separate video for you on this eclipse. If you're not subscribed, this is a good time to do so, and tap the notification bell so you get a reminder. But know that because this eclipse is in Aquarius and all these planets have been in Aquarius in your fifth house, and this eclipse is also in your fifth house, this means that your new beginning could have to do with something creative for you, or it could have to do with a child, or maybe your desire to have a child, or perhaps, you know, your children are older and something is going on with one of them, or something is going on in a relationship, in your relationship with a child or children. Also, this could be your desire to be more childlike, your desire to have more fun, your desire to have a more adventurous next chapter of your life. Eclipses often course correct us. They put us on a new course. And as I said at the beginning, this energy does make a lovely trine to your energy, Aquarius, air to your air, Libra. So, you know, this could be quite a lovely solar eclipse for you. It could really boost your, just bring you a lot of hope and optimism. Something could come in for you that feels meant to be. That's what's coming through for me to share with you right now. And especially if you have planets or points in the last decan of your sign, Libra, you will feel this full moon in a positive way, even more poignantly or joyfully. Then we have the sun changing signs, leaving Aquarius and entering Pisces, and this is a big shift of the energy for sure. You will feel this shift of energy, most likely. Most of us will. Pisces season will happen in your sixth house. That is the house of daily work. So everything you do on a daily basis, your routines, your schedules, health and wellness. Big picture, this is your lifestyle. And it's also pets and the personal planets, as I speak about when I go through all the key transits and their dates in part 1 of this video. The personal planets will be moving from Aquarius into Pisces, will begin to do so. And, you know, then we're going to have, it's like they're all working together. They were all in Capricorn for quite some time. Then they all moved into Aquarius. Then they're all going to move into Pisces. And Mercury is one of the ones moving into Pisces, and when it does so, it will turn retrograde on the 25th of the month. So you could be reviewing, rethinking, fixing something that has to do with your daily work, the way you do your life, your physical and your you know, how you eat, for example, how you work out, your physical health. I mean, it's also mental and emotional health. It can be any area of your life. Something could be going on with Mercury retrograde here that is having you reflect on, is this working for me now? This is also connected to pets. And again, it's that big picture question of, am I happy in the lifestyle that I have? A Mercury retrograde often means that there's something that we are thinking about, that we are going over in our mind to figure out if anything needs changing. Not the best time to to say yes to a job offer during a Mercury retrograde unless it's already a redo. For example, say that you applied for a job, Libra. You applied for a job and you didn't get it, or, you know, they said, we really liked you, but you know, turns out this or that happened and we don't actually have an opening. And then later on, they contact you and they say, actually, there's an opening now, or the person we hired didn't work out, that kind of thing. Because this is your sixth house of work, it's like a second chance. So second chances can be wonderful opportunities with a Mercury retrograde. or maybe something that you tried in your health or a workout or so forth, a routine didn't work before, but now you're giving it a second chance, and now you're seeing where it can pay off, where it can have benefits for you. On February 20th, Saturn and Neptune will meet up for their epic conjunction in Aries. And this is a big deal for you, Libra, because it's opposite your sign. That means it's in your 7th house of committed relationships, romantic best friendships, mutually reciprocal relationships. This is going to be business, close business relationships as well, business partnerships. So the question is, with Saturn and Neptune transiting your 7th house, what do you want to make real? What new dream, what new vision do you want to make real in your 7th house? And this can be a new way of doing relationship. It can be a pattern shift for you. It could be a behavioral shift in relationship. It could be a way of working through something with a partner. A partnership could have ended for you already, and now you are, like closing one door, opening a new door. Or you are reconciling with someone perhaps, or you are wanting to stay together with someone and finding a new way to, like a rebirth of a relationship, transforming a relationship into a new relationship. So lots of different ways that this can play out, but Saturn and Neptune coming together at the 0 point of Aries, the very first degree of the zodiac, are really asking all of us, including you, Libra, what stays, what goes, but most importantly, what does your heart want most now, and what are you ready to pursue? So maybe for some of you, you are pursuing marriage, or maybe you're pursuing living with someone, or maybe you're pursuing, you could be taking a relationship to the next level too. So, beautiful Libra, I'm shuffling for you, and I want to pull a card for you. And I want to say thank you. If you would please take a moment to, if you got something from this video, to like it, to comment if you'd like to comment, share, and thank you so much for subscribing to the channel as well. It means everything to the growth of the channel, of course. And Libra, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Libra, for your month of February 2026, and your card is Rest. It says rest and relax. Release guilt and make your needs a top priority. What do you think of this, Libra? Can you relate to that, releasing guilt and making your needs a top priority? Libra, you are, and I know these are generalizations, but you are famous for giving your time and energy and not saving enough for you. I don't like to use that word pleasers with Libras because it's just so overused. And I'm sure you don't like hearing it unless you can really relate to it and you're like, yes, I'm so done pleasing other people. But I love that this gives you the invitation to release guilt, and that resting is, we just have to rest, right? It's hard for our human selves to realize we're not machines. We can't just keep going. I rested in between takes of this video, and that's us giving ourselves the self-care that we need. So beautiful Libra, if you want to claim your rest and your relaxation or releasing guilt in the comments below, you are worthy of making your own needs a top priority. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, you are going to experience the full moon in Leo on the very first of the month, the day this video premieres. You could feel this full moon the day of, several days after, in your 12th house of the other realms. The 12th house is not of this world. And I believe that there is a message that this full moon wants to bring you, because full moons often bring revelations, illuminations, truths. They can bring awakenings, especially in the 12th house. They can bring something from your subconscious mind into your awareness, especially if there's any. First of all, it can be wonderful. It can be a message dream. You can get a dream from an angel visitation, for example, in your dreams, or you can get something that comes through your crown chakra or your third eye, something that awakens you, whether it's a divine download or, simply an aha moment. But also you could have an awareness that a story you've had about yourself or your life, or a narrative that you've had, is no longer supportive of you. You could change something having to do with self-sabotage, self-doubt. You could realize that you have great spiritual powers that you weren't aware of before. You could just be feeling super intuitive for sure during this full moon. We can also have otherworldly experiences. We can have astral travel moments, or, a lot of different kinds of awakening moments. I tell you about mine in one of the chapters of my book, The Magic of Saying Yes. I love those moments because that is when we really awaken to who we really are, the fact that we are spiritual beings having this human experience. And I hope that this full moon for you feels divine in some way. Channeling falls here as well. This is a good full moon to do automatic writing because the sun is going to be transiting your sixth house and several other planets as well in Aquarius transiting your sixth house. You could feel that something is wrapping up there, or you could feel like a door is opening for you there. And this would be your daily work, your routines, your schedules, your wellness on all levels. It's even your lifestyle, it's pets if you have a pet. And so you could feel that there's focus for sure on your daily work, on your health. And this can be any level of health, whether it's your spiritual health, your emotional, mental, or your physical health. And then these same, and if I didn't say it already, full moons are culminations, endings, something coming to fruition or a manifestation. With a full moon in Leo, which is heart energy, you could have a heart healing here. I feel like some of you are going to have a lovely heart healing with an ethereal being. I would be asking for that extra connection to the divine if you could use that right now. If you could use a warm hug from the divine. And I know a lot of us would rather have a actual physical hug, but sometimes amazing things can happen if you tune into, if you relate to a specific being, or whether it's an angel or a saint. I mean, there's so many different beings that we all, talk to, pray to, and so forth. Maybe it's your own spirit, maybe it's God, like whatever it is for you. I feel that a lot of you will get that feeling of I'm held, I'm loved, I'm cherished by doing so. Now, on February 17th, the solar eclipse in Aquarius at 28 degrees, almost 29 degrees, which is a wrap up. It's a closing door, but an opening door as well. Solar eclipse, a new moon, asking us what is our vision, what is our ideal going forward. And so because it's happening in your sixth house, Virgo, it could be very much tied to a new job, or maybe you don't want a job anymore. Or if you've had a job, maybe you want to have your own business. Maybe you want to, work for yourself. I know those are the same thing. Maybe you want to start a new health regime, or you have been dealing with perhaps working through a health issue and you want to see that change. Maybe you want a whole new lifestyle. You could be living in the city and now you want to live in a very quiet place. Maybe you want to leave where you live and you want to live in another country. There's a lot of ways that obviously that can be changed up. But it's a solar eclipse, and if it is conversing with any planets or placements that you have in the fixed signs at the high degrees, you could feel it. Or if you have in your own sign, Virgo, or the other mutable signs, any early degree placements, then you will also feel this eclipse more intensely. The energy is going to shift palpably when the sun leaves Aquarius and enters Pisces. Pisces season will happen in your seventh house of committed relationships, romantic, business, best friendships, mutually reciprocal relationships where they have your back, you have their back, spoken or unspoken agreements. And, we're going to have a Mercury retrograde here. So I speak about this in part one of this video, all these different transits and many more, actually, the key dates and transits of the month. And a lot of people just skip to their signs, so this is why I'm mentioning it again. But a Mercury retrograde in your seventh house could mean that you are having some, conversations with people or a person that feel like sort of, retracing your steps, going back, conversations that maybe needed to be had earlier, or you're perhaps doing some thinking, reflecting on your own way of being in relationship. Or, there's Mercury retrograde is a time that we are looking back, we're reflecting. So it isn't the best time to launch something. It isn't usually the best time to start a new relationship, but a lot of times we are, it's a second chance kind of relationship. We've met them before, we're, reconnecting with them, or it could be that we've known them in a past lifetime. We can meet someone during a Mercury retrograde that we were meant to meet, we're meant to have a relationship with. So these are all possibilities. And on February 20th, Saturn and Neptune will meet up for their epic conjunction in Aries. And this is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of power and control, the house of emotional attachments, the house of transformation, death, and rebirth. And this is a powerful place to have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, Virgo, because it's a chance for us to make something real, make a dream real. Now, for you, this could be an intimate relationship. It could be emotional, a bond that you want to, it can be a relationship that hasn't happened yet, or it could be one that's already happening and you want to take it to the next level, or it could be that a relationship has ended in this area of your chart, meaning that you've shared time, money, or resources with this person. Emotional, sexual intimacy, or it could be a business partnership. It can be any relationship in which there is or has been a very strong bond, a very strong commitment. Often it involves finances. And, that's why we say this is both a financial and a partnership house, relationship house. But because it's both, often things come up in those relationships, right? That can feel sticky, or it's the 8th house is traditionally associated with Pluto, which is what's underneath the surface. What do we not talk about? What do we sweep under the rug? So this is a really important transit for you to be creating something new, co-creating something with the universe, and it's going to be very important. It's Saturn and Neptune coming together in this conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. Everything is possible. What do you want? What do you want to, start fresh with? These are the questions that are being asked. I have a separate video for you on this transit, so if you haven't checked that out, we'll link that at the end of this video. But really, this transit is asking us, what are we ready to go for that may feel very scary? It may feel like do I know if I can do this? Do I know if I can succeed? Often we don't, but it's powerful. It's a hero's journey. It's a big deal. And, we're not all going to feel this at the beginning. A lot of us are going to feel this much later when Saturn and Neptune make activations to a planet or point in our chart. Okay, so beautiful Virgo, let me pull a card for you now. I'm shuffling. I want to take a moment to say thank you for being here, for joining me for this video. Thank you for taking a moment to like the video, to comment if you'd care to comment, to share with others, and to subscribe. If you haven't yet subscribed, it makes a huge difference, and I really appreciate your support. So Virgo, let me pull your card now. For your month of February 2026. And you get one of my favorite cards in this deck, Magnificence. It says, own your magnificence. The world needs your brilliance and your grace. Yes, 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 yes. Did I say yes enough times? Virgo, I love this card so much because how many of us say, I'm magnificent? And even if you say it, how many of us can feel that in every cell of their body when they say that, right? So I love that she's wrapping her arms around herself, and this is saying it's time for you to own it. It's time for you to own your brilliance and grace because the world needs you. And that's, one of the signatures of your energy, Virgo, right? Is that being needed, serving. And you are the sign that knows that you are needed and loves to feel needed. And yet your spirit wants to know that it loves you, it adores you, and your own soul needs you to know just how magnificent you are. So if you want to claim this in the comments, let us know. I would love to hear. Leo, hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, the first transit of the month happens on the first day of the month, and that is the full moon in your sign, beautiful Leo, in your first house of you. The roles that you play, the ways that you describe yourself, the things that you love, the things that light you up, the leadership position that some of you have, or the way that you move through your life, shining your bright light. I know that that is an overused statement, but it is true about you, Leo. You do light up a room. You do. And also, this house is your own sense of integrity. It is the boundaries you set. It is also your vitality, your physical vitality, and your appearance, your image, and the way you want others to see you. A culmination, an ending, something coming to fruition, or something manifesting for you. Any of these things could be happening for you during this full moon. There's a party of planets across from your house in your 7th house of committed relationships that are also being involved in this full moon with the aspects. And I have a separate video for you on this full moon if you want to know more about that. But suffice it to say that really this full moon is happening on the axis of your 1st and your 7th house, and that brings in partnership stuff as well, whether it's a new vision for a new partnership or something wrapping up or some activity. It could be a dramatic full moon for sure. It's certainly been dramatic in, collective things that have been going on, which I talk about in part 1 of this video. But the energy in these Aquarian areas in your 7th house of committed relationships, whether they are business or best friendships or romantic or just your partnership with your own higher self, which is not a just, that is important. Leo, this energy continues with the solar eclipse in Aquarius at 28 degrees. I say 28 degrees because if you have any planets or points in the high degrees, you are going to feel this eclipse more intensely, especially as it makes a square to Uranus, the Great Awakener, which can bring discombobulating moments that are temporary, but they are meant to free and liberate us and show us where we are, where it's time to get unstuck if we've been stuck, where it's time to break free. So that's happening in that within that eclipse. And it's asking you what your heart wants because it's a new vision, a new dream, a new beginning. Eclipse, it's a new moon, but it's very much amplified, especially again with that electrical Uranus energy. On February 18th, the sun will enter Pisces. Pisces season happens in your 8th house. And this is a partnership and a financial house, whether it is a romantic partnership in which you share, have intimacy on an emotional level, maybe a sexual level. Also, this can be business partnerships. It can be anyone that you share time, money, or energy with, share resources with. This house being the house of power and control, emotional attachments, and death and rebirth, transformation, it can be quite a fired up Pisces season for you. But keep in mind that, and this is also debts. You could be paying your taxes around this time. You could be considering taking out a loan. You could be really looking at your savings, your investments. Especially, you could be going over these and really deciding if you have, and I don't mean to say everyone has investments. I understand that not everybody does, and I understand some of you own homes, some of you rent homes, all of that, because your home ownership can fall in this house as well. Getting a mortgage can fall here. And because Mercury is going to be retrograde, I encourage you, anything to do, unless you are doing something over, rethinking, changing something. It's a great time to change. For example, if you do have investments, if you want to change, reallocate your portfolio, for example, a great time for that. Not a great time to start something for the first time with Mercury retrograde. Not to say it will go bad or anything, but it can just bring up headaches and glitches and things that wouldn't happen if you did it at a different time. Interesting, because I'm thinking about taxes and filing taxes during a Mercury retrograde. I don't know if I've ever filed my taxes during Mercury retrograde. I probably wouldn't, just because I don't want an audit. I don't want anyone coming back and having to redo, because a lot of times with Mercury retrogrades, if we launch something for the first time, we have to redo it. So same with like closing on a house. Now, if I know a lot of you will then ask me questions in the comments about this if you're planning to do that. If you're already planning to do it, if it's already happening, then it's already happening. But I am just saying that I don't recommend planning to do any sort of signing legal documents, or, signing a mortgage agreement or anything like that during a Mercury retrograde if you can possibly uh, not do it during that time. I know that sometimes we just end up doing it during that time, and some people end up having issues and some people don't. That's the nature of a Mercury retrograde. But you always tune into your intuition for answers, because your intuition is your greatest guide, and we are often more intuitive during a Mercury retrograde than we are at other times. Mercury retrograde by nature, our mind can be less focused, and we can often think differently during a Mercury retrograde than we normally do. And that's why we can turn to our intuition for further support if we're not sure. What you don't want to do during a Mercury retrograde is just do the mental looping over and over and over and just feel like you're making yourself crazy. Better to tune into your body's wisdom. So on February 20th, Saturn and Neptune will meet up for their epic conjunction, history-making conjunction in Aries at the 0 point. And that's happening in your 9th house of expansion, spiritual beliefs, new horizons, higher learning, expansion, awakening, new adventures, seeking, going on a quest, sharing what you love, sharing your philosophy, sharing your enthusiasm, however you do that, through a podcast or a broadcast, publishing. Some of you will potentially publish something that you've written, whether it's an article or a book or a video and so forth. You could be finishing a degree program. You could be deciding to start a degree program, because this is Saturn and Neptune coming together, making a new dream real. That's the highest octave I give. All other kinds of ways that this could be playing out in my video on Saturn and Neptune re-entering Aries and coming together at the 0 point. So if you're wondering how else this might play out, that would be a good video to watch. Also, justice falls in the 9th house. Some of you ask me sometimes, does this include, if you're going through a divorce or you're going through some other legal battle? I'm sorry if you are. I know those are incredibly stressful. But if you are seeking justice, if you are doing anything involving lawyers, and that can just be that you're getting a visa, that you are jumping through hoops that you need to jump through in order to move to another country, for example, or travel someplace else, then that could be part of your Saturn-Neptune conjunction as well. And I want to say that Saturn and Neptune coming together are saying that if it's an Aries dream of yours, which involves doing something that you've not done before, often doing something that can feel scary. I mean, you may have done renditions of it, you may have experience that you can apply to this, but doing the exact same thing, usually Aries says, let's do something new and different. Let's do something that's challenging, but is super exciting. So if you feel really excited and revved up and ready for a new chapter, then it could have to do as well with traveling someplace or living someplace that you haven't lived before, because the 9th house rules long distance travel as well, or starting a degree program, getting a certification. You get the idea. So, beautiful Leo, let me shuffle for you now, and I'm going to pull a card for you. Thank you for taking a moment, if you would, to like this video. Comment if you'd like to comment, share, and thank you for subscribing if you haven't yet subscribed. It makes a huge difference. Let me pull a card for you now, beautiful Leo. Leo, for your month of February, and you get friendship. It says, call a friend. When you are mirrored with love, you see yourself clearly. Some of you need some wonderful close attention from a friend, being mirrored with love. And I'm not surprised, given the fact that we've got the full moon in your sign, which can bring in relationships. We've got the solar eclipse, which is in your house of relationships. And then all the movement of planets into Pisces, which is your eighth house, which is also a relationship and a money house. So here you go. Friendships. You deserve to be mirrored with love. You deserve to be supported by a friend. And if there isn't a friend that you feel like you want to call, think about getting support from somebody who is a caring, trusted professional. You could do an astrology consultation with me. You could do a coaching session with me or anyone else that you feel a sense of trust with. Whatever it is, it may be time for you to really benefit from getting some support. Beautiful Leo. And if you want to claim that you are supported in the comments, I would love to hear. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, I have my moon and rising in Cancer, and you are going to begin your month of February on the 1st with a dramatic full moon in Leo. This full moon for you is happening in your second house of earned income, your values, aligning your life with your values, material security, self-worth, deserving, self-love. So this is the house of self-reliance too. It's the house where we feel like all of my material needs are met. The full moon is happening for you here. So what's going on in these areas of life for you? Full moons can be culminations, endings, full circle moments. They can be a manifestation. They can be more finances coming in for you, or, this can go either way. It can feel like a financial, stream of income is dwindling or leaving. That could be happening too. There could be a message from the divine to you that something needs shifting in the way that you earn money, or maybe you're not getting enough for what you're putting out. Maybe you're not receiving enough back. Cancers are very, very giving. They can easily overgive. And it could also be that you are in the process, or you're being nudged by this full moon to up your game of self-love, self-worth, or deserving, so to speak. And I do have a separate video for you on this Leo full moon, and I know that it's happening on the day that this video premieres, but you could be feeling this full moon several days after, as well as before, the day of, and so forth. Now, on the 17th, we have the solar eclipse in Aquarius. It's our very first solar eclipse, our very first eclipse of eclipse season of 2026. And it's a wild card eclipse because it squares Uranus in Taurus. It is happening for you in your eighth house. So the eighth house is, and also remember, a solar eclipse is a new moon. So it's a new beginning. It's a new vision. It's a fresh start, but it's also closing something out, very possibly because it's at 28, almost 29 degrees, 28 degrees, 56 minutes. And it's happening in this house of death and rebirth transformation. So it can bring up themes of investments and nest eggs and savings accounts and, just your own sense of long-term financial support, well-being, stability. It can bring that up, or it can bring up relationships, emotional and or sexual intimacy. So it's a solar eclipse. So it's a new beginning. It's a vision. It's asking you, what, beautiful Cancer, what do you need, want, desire? What's important to you in these areas of your life? And because it's closing something out, some of you could be ending something in this area of your life. So this is also joint finances, shared resources, time, money, energy that you could be splitting up. Or you're just looking at ways to do something maybe that involves purchasing a home, or it involves using your investments maybe if you haven't tapped into them before, or obviously this will be different for everyone. Some of you could be, if you do have investments, you could be looking at them, you could be moving things around, be on the verge of retirement and tapping into them. Others of you could be deciding to invest for the very first time, or you are getting a loan, or you're doing your taxes. But because it's a solar eclipse, there's something about it that's more supercharged. There's something about it that wants to course correct you if course correction's needed. Not everyone needs a course correction. An eclipse can be a moment of, look how far I've come. It can be a celebrational moment. It can be a moment of realizing that kind of things are falling into place for you too. And then the energy will really shift when the sun enters Pisces. And this energy for you, Cancer, is really lovely because Pisces trines your energy. You are like cousins. Pisces season for you. And of course, the personal planets that have been in Aquarius will move into Pisces as well. This is happening for you in your 9th house of new horizons, adventures. This is the house of expansion. We are meant to expand when we have planets transiting this house. For you, that could mean a new beginning in terms of a learning program, a degree program. It could be you creating something like a podcast or a broadcast or videos or publishing a book or publishing anything really. This could be for you, Cancer, a time of beginning to think about long distance travel or planning it or actually making a move to or doing a trip to some place that feels far away to you. We are going to have a Mercury retrograde here. And yes, there are more themes than I just shared as well. It's a big picture. It's the house of expansion. It is also justice. It's also letting go of belief systems that no longer match who you are now, your vibration, your energy. And sometimes we have awakenings with 9th house transits, especially if you are, you can have an awakening through reading a book. You can have awakenings through any new scenery that you're getting or new ways of thinking can open you up to, an awakening. Of course, we can have awakenings in meditation and lots of different ways, spending time in nature, long hikes, solo activities, and so forth. Mercury's retrograding here in Pisces. And so there is a sense of looking back, rethinking, redoing, fixing something. Maybe you're evaluating what you have been doing in any of these 9th house activities. You're evaluating it. Maybe you're thinking, I have to do this differently, or maybe I'm not going to do it anymore. Those themes could come up for you as well. And then on February 20th, we're going to have the epic conjunction Saturn and Neptune that are moving back into Aries at the 0 point. This is their historic moment because we have not yet had Saturn and Neptune in Aries at the 0 point of Aries, which is the very first sign of the zodiac. It's happening for you in your 10th house of career. So it's asking you, what do you want to make real in terms of career? Or if not career for you, it's retirement. If not retirement, how you want to spend your time. It's a new dream. It's a new vision, or one is leaving, one's going away. You could be ending a career. You could be walking away from a chapter of your life and beginning to envision a new chapter. And most likely it involves how you will be spending a significant amount of your time once it is complete. And remember, Aries energy is we're meant to do things we haven't done before, or we're meant to do something that really does take us to our growing edge, that is passionate, that's lighting us up, that, can feel like a pipe dream, but that's the whole point. It's taking us on a hero's journey, and hero's journey always take us to the next level of who we came here to be, so to speak, our next level of expression. So beautiful Cancer, I want to pull a card for you now. Thank you so much for being here with me. I so appreciate you. Thank you for your sharing of your energy through liking, commenting, subscribing. When you subscribe, it makes a huge difference. Thank you if you have not done so yet for doing so. And let's see what the cards have to say for you. Beautiful Cancer for your month of February. February, Cancer. And your card is support. Offer your support to someone. Experience the joy of serving others. Support. Wow, I would take this card both ways. Maybe you do need to offer your support to others, but Cancer, you are usually very giving and supportive. So I also want to read this card as receiving support from others. Maybe you're receiving support from angels. Maybe you're giving your presence, time, or energy to children. In the traditional zodiac, Cancer is connected to the 4th house of home and family. Cancers like to create family wherever they go with whomever they're interacting. And so here, maybe this is your inner child. This could also be a depiction representative of your own inner child and you calling on support from the divine, from your angels, from your guides. Beautiful Cancer. If you want to claim your support in the comments or anything else that you might want to share, I would love to hear. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. I have my natal sun in Gemini, and the first transit of the month of February is happening on the very first day, and it is a dramatic full moon in your third house of moving and shaking. So, Gemini, Leo energy sextiles your energy. It's a beautiful, harmonious flow between you and this full moon, which is really lovely. It is connected to your communication, your mindset, your transactions, your short trips, devices, vehicles. There are a lot of things that fall in this house, but big picture, this is about how you express yourself in writing, in words, whether you presenting, maybe something like I'm doing right now, creating this video just a couple of days before this full moon. If you are a freelance worker or you have your own website or you work on websites, websites fall here as well. Writing, teaching, learning, speaking, networking, meetup groups, local people in your environment, people that you have conversations with, that you meet up for coffee dates, people, the conversations that you can have on the fly that end up changing your mindset or affecting you in some way, positive or negative. But this is most likely going to be very positive for you. This is a good time to be out and about. This is a good time to be um, talking with neighbors, siblings, aunts, uncles, or cousins. Also, keep in mind, though, that because it's a full moon, it's often when we get the revelation, the aha moment, the truth that comes to light. And it could be something having to do with what lights you up right now. Also, are you happy in the neighborhood that you're in? Are you happy in the location that you're in, whether it's a work location or a living location? These could come up for you as well. Endings, culminations, manifestation moments all fall within the full moon's territory. So, oftentimes the full moon means something is closing out for you, something is ending in your third house, or it could be your ninth house because that's where the sun is, and there are a bunch of planets in Aquarius in the ninth house. They are talking to this moon, and so you could also experience this in terms of expansion, awakening, a new adventure, a quest, higher learning, something that is would be you sharing a philosophy, would be you speaking your truth. You could be seeking justice. And the solar eclipse in Aquarius that is happening mid-month, February 17th, this is also happening in your ninth house. And this is a new beginning solar eclipse. Something new is happening here. It does square Uranus, which means that it will be more electrical. It will be more intense for some of you. If you have planets or points at the early degrees of your sign, Gemini, then you could feel this eclipse more intensely. So it's a new beginning. It's asking you what your new vision is. Something could be closing out because it's happening at 28, 29 degrees and it's squaring Uranus. So there could be something unexpected that happens that is temporarily discombobulating, but ultimately it frees and liberates you. That's what Uranus wants to do. It wants to show us a new way. It wants to show us a workaround. It wants us to open up to other possibilities, other ways of doing something. But because it's a solar eclipse, it's speaking to what's the next leg of your journey? What does your heart want? What would expand you? It's something that will ideally expand you, is what the universe wants for you, that the astrology is speaking to. On February 18th, the sun enters Pisces in your 10th house of career, legacy, retirement, semi-retirement, or your life purpose expressed, or how you spend your time. And we're also going to have a Mercury retrograde here. So some of you with a Mercury retrograde here are rethinking how you spend your time. You're rethinking career, you're rethinking retirement, you're rethinking passion, purpose, perhaps for some of you. This is the most public place in our chart, so it's often where we are talking with other people. We are receiving feedback from others, whether they are clients or coworkers or people that we work for or with. I think I said clients. You can be, with a Mercury retrograde, you could be retracing your steps, how you've done things before. Do you want to keep doing them in the same way? Does something have to shift? Do you need to course correct something? And then on February 20th, Saturn and Neptune meeting up for their epic conjunction in Aries, re-entering Aries. I have a separate video for you on this subject that goes into much more than I have time to go into here. But I will say that it's happening in your 11th house of dreams, fulfillment, and what you want going forward. Also friends, supporters, allies, and community. This is the house of community. So it is the World card in the tarot, which is something has completed for you. A cycle is completed. You are entering a new cycle. And what do you want to do for this new cycle? For some of you, it's branding or promoting a product or a service. For others of you, it's creating new community. And it could be a project that is being created through that new community, or it could be new friendships. It could be friendships are coming, friendships are going. It's a new chapter, but because it's a new cycle. And Saturn and Neptune transiting your 11th house are really saying, it's a heavy duty, and not in a negative way. It's when we have two outer planets coming together, it's a lot of strong energy supporting you to create a dream or a vision and make it real on this earthly plane. So I think that's very exciting, Gemini, especially because you get a lovely sextile from Saturn and Neptune to your energy. So it's very, very supportive to your energy. Both you and Aries like to move quickly. So if you can slow it down, that will be a good thing. And I think Saturn will kind of require that we slow it down because that's Saturn. And I think that will help us to make more, not to feel so rushed and not to feel like we have to, all the things that Geminis can feel. And then if we rush ourselves, then we can feel worried that we're not making the right decision. We can vacillate. That's a very Gemini thing. We can be, the dual sign, the duality of Gemini, right? Part of us, we have our one foot in the ethereal realms, one foot in this physical realm. We can vacillate. And sometimes it comes from worry. Sometimes it comes from we're just trying to move ahead before it's time to move ahead. So something to keep in mind. Dear Gem, I'm going to shuffle for you now, and I'm going to pull your card. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, for commenting if you choose to comment. I love hearing from you. And if you can take a moment to like this video and to tap subscribe if you haven't already, I really appreciate it. It really helps me. And let's see what the cards have to say for you, Gemini, for this February 2026. Pivotal turning point month, Gemini. Your card is self-love, care for your body. Self-love and self-acceptance are the ultimate acts of self-care. Such a beautiful image. She is taking time out, and it's reminding me how Mercury retrograde can be a wonderful time to take a time out. I know that sometimes there are glitches in transportation and travel, flights and all of that, but there are a lot of ways a lot of people take vacations during Mercury retrogrades. And we tend to be more intuitive. Now, I know, Gemini, that Mercury retrograde affects us and Virgos too, the Mercury ruled signs, more intensely for sure. But still, if you can give your mind a rest this month and just care for you, it's grounding. We're going to need extra grounding with all the Uranus squares. It will be grounding, and it will be nurturing, and it will give you a chance to receive a message from your soul. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus. Your month of February begins with a full moon in Leo in your 4th house of home, family, childhood conditioning, ancestral healing. The 4th house is also belonging. It's where we want to feel a sense of belonging, where we want to feel rooted and anchored. And this full moon is happening on the 1st, so it's the day that this video premieres. And you may have already felt this full moon, Taurus, because it does make a square to your energy, or maybe you haven't felt it yet and you could feel it in the days that follow. We can feel full moons a week before, a week after. But certainly, even if this isn't happening close to the planets or points in your chart, and I share all about that in my separate video on this Leo full moon, even if it's not affecting you intensely, you will probably still feel the themes of this full moon, these fourth house themes. Now, you could also feel it in your 10th house of career, legacy, retirement, semi retirement, life purpose expressed, your passion, your sense of purpose, your vocation, if you would like to have a vocation, if you would like to make a passion into something that you get paid for example, you could feel it there as well. The moon itself is also squaring your 10th house of career. And when we get squares, and the sun too is what I meant to say, the sun as well. When we get squares to our planets or points, that's when we get into action because we feel the tension or pressure and we want to move the energy. We want to feel relief and we feel a sense of it's time. I have to do this. So if you are making a change in career, something's, full moons are endings, culminations, something wrapping up often, or something manifesting. Something could be ending and you could be opening a new door to something new, whether it's career or work related or passion related. And I hope it's passion related, Taurus. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you'd like to share. I love hearing from you. Some of you could be taking the leap from a job to your own business. Some of you could be taking the leap from where you've been living for a long time to a new home or family. Some of you could be taking a leap from working to retiring. Those are just a few examples. It will be different for all of you, but you get the idea, the themes in the houses that this full moon is happening in. And then we're going to have our first eclipse of the year, a solar eclipse, which is a new moon, new beginning, new vision in Aquarius at 28 degrees. If you have planets or points in your sign Taurus at the high degrees, you will feel this more intensely, especially because it squares Uranus in your sign. Taurus, are you excited that Uranus is leaving your sign? There are pluses and minuses. The pluses are the spiritual awakenings or the aha moments or the things that can catapult us forward, quantum leap us forward, right? In our first house of identity, roles that you play, just the first house of you. Health, your health could have been affected with Uranus, but now Uranus is wrapping up in your sign and we'll move on to Gemini. So are you excited for it to end? If you want to leave me a comment about that, I love hearing from you, anything you want to share. But the solar eclipse in Aquarius is happening in your 10th house of career, your legacy, how you want to spend your time if you don't have a career, your retirement or semi-retirement, if those apply to you, and life purpose, how we express that often falls here as well, because the 10th house is meant to be a house in which we share our passion, or we do our passion, or we in some way feel like what we are doing in the most public area of our life is fulfilling to us. We are meant to have fulfillment here. Not everybody does. But, a lot of different ways can fulfill us too. Some people are fulfilled by making good money. Some people are fulfilled by knowing that when they're done with their job every day, they get to go home and be with people they love. So there are a lot of different ways. Some people get to travel with their work. There are all different ways. But when we get to that point, when it feels like I can't go on any longer, some of you could be feeling that. You could. You could be feeling I've got to shift how I spend most of my time, how I do my job, how I do my career, how I do my retirement, and so forth. February 18th, the sun enters Pisces. It leaves Aquarius, so it will stop squaring your energy, and all those planets that were in Aquarius squaring your energy, Taurus, that will end, and you will then be in this more flowing energy, more simpatico energy. You get a sextile from Pisces energy, and sextiles are they're harmonious. They're opportunities, solutions, workarounds, tangible, something getting resolved, or, a tangible positive outcome. That's a sextile, or an opportunity that you didn't see coming, or that, you realize there's a need and you take an action, and then your action results in success, opportunity, and so forth. So where you're receiving this sextile, harmonious potential opportunity, tangible blessing, is your 11th house of dreams, fulfillment, friends, supporters, allies, the world in the tarot, branding, promotion, if you're doing that for a product or a service. It's where we can gather community around us, where we can create a new support group for ourselves, or we can facilitate a support group. Online dating is in the 11th house as well. It's really where we create new relationships in a lot of ways. But it's, again, dreams and fulfillment as well. So they're meant to be passionate relationships, whether they're platonic or not. They're meant to be something that really feels very fulfilling to us. It can be soul sisters and soul brothers. Also, long-term financial gains. This is also where Mercury will retrograde. It doesn't begin its retrograde until February 25th. We'll retrace its steps, and then you could be redoing, rethinking, fixing, or reflecting on any of the themes that I just mentioned, such as a relationship or a new endeavor that you have chosen to pursue, or branding or promoting a product. You could be redoing it, for example, redoing a website, rethinking a vision for something that you want to do. And then, and this is, of course, Mercury retrogrades are always for our greatest good in that sense, because we wouldn't be rethinking or revisioning or reflecting or, retracing our steps unless there was something that needed attention, right? And then on February 20th, we get the Saturn and Neptune meetup, the epic conjunction in Aries. They will be here to stay. And I have a separate video for you on this transit, which I go a lot more in depth. It's an epic transit. It's very, very important. So I encourage you to go back and check that out if you haven't already. But it's happening for you in your 12th house, Taurus. What does it mean when Saturn and Neptune transit in your 12th house? Well, in Aries, this hasn't happened in our lifetimes before. Not only that, it hasn't happened in our history, human history, at the 0 point of Aries. So it's new territory for everyone. Everyone it's a new territory for. So we look at the themes, and that's why I have a whole separate video for you on this. But basically, Saturn is creating a structure, making something real, and Neptune is, what is your dream? What's your desire? Neptune is connected to the 12th house, so it's very comfortable at home here. Some of you could really be amping up your psychic power, your intuitive guidance. You could be starting a spiritually based business, having mystical experiences, synchronicities and signs, and feel like you're walking in two worlds for sure. Saturn says, let's keep our feet on the ground. Saturn says, let's make this an earthly reality. Neptune can take you to new heights. It can also take you into dark places at times. But this would be a time that you could really live a more spiritual life, reconnect with your spirit at a much deeper level, maybe have some very deep spiritual awakenings. Neptune dissolves an old self that we no longer need too, if that's appropriate. So some of you could experience that, like a dissolving of ambition, for example. Something you always thought you wanted or that you've worked so hard for, that could be dissolving within you the real reason that you wanted it was to meet a more, as we say, ego-based goal. Nothing wrong with those goals, but sometimes we outgrow them. Our soul outgrows them, right? Our soul wants more. I feel that your soul wants more, Taurus. I feel that your soul wants to deepen your connection with the divine. Leave me a comment if you can relate to that, and let's see what the cards have to say for your month of February. Beautiful Taurus. Thank you for liking this video, for commenting if you care to comment, for sharing. I have immense gratitude for you, and thank you for subscribing. If you haven't yet subscribed, if you could take a moment to do that, it really helps me. Let's see what your card has to say, beautiful Taurus. Taurus. Your card is independence. It says, decide for yourself. Exercise your right to choose. I love the image on this card. This shows a person who has come through it. They've come through it and they are now the butterfly, right? She's wearing butterfly wings. It's like she's an angelic butterfly. I love that she is walking in the water. It really reminds me of Pisces energy, this card. She's at the edge of the ocean, it looks like. And if you are having any sort of inner conflict, or you are vacillating between one or, two choices, whatever it is, three choices, whatever it is, This is saying don't let anyone else's pressure or your sense of duty or obligation, if it's coming from a place of your old self, if it's coming from an old self rather than the new person that you have evolved into. You are meant, and I love it, this little girl, right? I guess it's not necessarily a little girl. When I see it, I see a little girl, but maybe it's a woman. But basically, what it's saying is that you deserve to live the beautiful life that you want, Taurus. And it's a very sensual card, and your energy is known for sensuality, is known for savoring the pleasures of life in the physical body. Maybe some of you just need to go to a tropical place and walk in the water, walk on the beach. This looks pretty darn good to me, I have to say. If you want to claim your independence or anything else you want to share in the comments, let us know. I'd love to hear. Aries. Hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, this is a big month for you because Saturn and Neptune are coming back into your sign, and they are making their epic conjunction at 0 degrees, the 0 point of Aries. I will say more about that, as that's the last transit I'm actually going to talk about in your February forecast, but I wanted to mention it up front because it is a big deal for your sign. Now, the month opens on the first of the month, the day that this video goes live. The month opens with a full moon in Leo in your 5th house. It trines your energy. It's like the wind in your sails, something falling in your lap. What could fall in your lap? Well, it is an ending, culmination, or letting go of something potentially, or a manifestation. With the themes of love, romance, children, creative expression, pleasure, fun, delight, adventure, and freedom. There's nothing not to love here, but sometimes when we have a full moon in the 5th house, we do have a closure of a relationship, or we do have something happening with a child, like maybe a child is moving out to, you're getting an empty nest, for example, or, maybe something that you have been working on creatively is manifesting. Maybe it's coming to fruition. Maybe you are publishing something, for example, or you are showing your paintings in a gallery showing, or you're putting a song out there, for example. But the thing is that with a full moon, when we do that, we can have a whole mix of feelings, right? This could be quite an emotional full moon. And sometimes it feels like our creative child is leaving when we're putting it out into the world after we've spent so much time and energy on it. So some of you could relate to that as well, Aries. Now, on February 17th, there will be a solar eclipse, our first eclipse of 2026 in Aquarius. And this also is simpatico with your energy. Aquarius energy is air to your fire. And that really is good for your fire. It's good for your fire, Aries. It's happening in your house of dreams, fulfillment, hopes and wishes, your friends, your supporters, the people that have your back, your allies. This is the World card in the tarot, and it signifies the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. So that brings up the question of do you want to manifest in this area of your life? For some of you, it's branding or promoting a product or a service or a business, whatever that is for you. For others of you, this could be creating new community, finding your tribe, creating something within community, some of you. A friendship could be blooming because it's a solar eclipse, it's a new vision. Solar eclipses don't come to fruition until 6 months later, or even up to 2 years later. 6 months, 2 years later. They take time, but the visioning process can have already happened before this eclipse, or be happening during this eclipse, and that's a wonderful part of the process too, right? So I'm getting the message, enjoy the journey, don't rush to the end, which makes sense too in Aries energy, because in Aries energy, we can really feel like we're always behind. We have to hurry up. If we don't get it done, we're going to miss out, all of that. And I'm getting the sense that no, you can take your time. And this eclipse will square Uranus in Taurus, which is doing its last pass, and squares are uncomfortable. So if you have planets or points in your chart in the late degrees of any of the fixed signs, or the earlier degrees of the mutable signs, then you could feel this, including that wild card, expect the unexpected, Uranus energy as well. And obviously, I know that not all of you read charts. I know that not all of you are able to locate necessarily the planets and points in your chart. If you want to do an astrology consultation, that is something that I do. And the links to my offerings are always in the description box below. Aries, on February 18th, the energy will change when the sun leaves Aquarius and enters Pisces. And of course, Pisces is this deep water. We can get really into feeling all the feels in Pisces energy. It's your 12th house. This is the house of your subconscious mind, reprogramming sometimes an inner narrative or beliefs that we've had that don't support us. This can be self-sabotage, like self-doubt and all those things we can tell ourselves about how we can't succeed at something because we're not whatever, we're not this enough or that enough, or we're too much of this, or we're too old, we're not smart enough, like all the things we can tell ourselves. But also the 12th house is your mystical powers. It's you as a mystic, if you relate to that. It's your ability to tap into other realms. It is your psychic intuition, angelic visitations through dreams, sometimes just being aware of other beings, however that could show up for you. Divine downloads, synchronicities, signs, channeling, mediumship, a lot of things fall in the 12th house that are not, it's not of this world, the 12th house. It's another realm, and you could feel during Pisces season that you have one foot in this world and one foot in the ethereal realms. We are going to have a Mercury retrograde in the same house for you. So with Mercury retrograding here, it's probably going to bring up your thoughts, and are they supportive, and do you want to shift your thoughts, or if not your thoughts, a story maybe that you've had about your life, or a story about why something has worked out for you or hasn't worked out for you. And because we have this epic Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your sign, Aries, which really is a brand new beginning, making a new dream real, I think that the Mercury retrograde starts on the 25th of February. I think that this happening is a good way to think of it as a cleanse of your thoughts before your new dream is activated. This is just an opportunity to be aware of whether your thoughts during the Mercury retrograde are in alignment with what your heart most wants. And your new Saturn-Neptune vision that you want to make real, or new beginning or passion, whatever it is for you, likely has something to do with your own sense of identity, who you are within roles that you play, either at work, in your own business, with a romantic partner, with friendships, with family members, and or your appearance, your physical vitality, how much energy you have, how you want to be seen, how you see yourself. These are all first house themes where Saturn and Neptune are coming together, and it really is a big deal to have Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your sign, because it will show you, if it hasn't already, what you've lost interest in, what's up for you, what's up for letting go, if that hasn't already happened. Now, remember that Saturn and Neptune coming together, when you feel this, will depend on what degree point your rising sign is, what degree point your sun sign, your moon sign, any planets or points in your sign. If you have a 0-degree sun, for example, or rising or moon, Venus, then you're going to feel this right away. You will have already started to feel it in 2025. If you have a 20-degree or 25-degree rising sign or other planets or points, in the later degrees like that, you're going to feel this much later. So don't feel like it's not happening for you if you're not feeling activated yet. We all get activated based on the timing of the transit to our planets or points in our own charts. So, beautiful Aries, I now want to shuffle the cards for you and pull a card and see what the cards have to say. And I want to say a warm thank you for joining me for this video. Without you, I would not be here on this channel. And thank you for taking a moment, if you would, to just tap like, to leave me a comment if you care to leave a comment. If you have not yet subscribed, will you please subscribe? It really helps me. And once again, I really appreciate your support. So that said, Aries, let us see what your card is for your month of February 2026, when we're going to have this epic Saturn conjunction in your sign. What do the cards want to say to you? Aries. Your card is rejuvenation, Aries. Get a good night's sleep. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and spirit. Check it out. This is giving you a big permission slip for a time out. It's saying you need to feel rejuvenated. Interestingly, Saturn and Neptune in your first house, that is your physical vitality too. So you could be feeling this Saturn Neptune already in this way of saying, you know, our physical vitality is it's this foundation of anything that we want to create, right? It's the foundation of our well-being. And the fact that, the sun in Pisces on the 18th will be in your 12th house, and then all the planets that have been in Aquarius are going to be moving into Pisces as well. When you have so much energy in Pisces, or even just the sun, we are more tired. I talk about that in part 1 of this video. We are more tired in Pisces energy. And then not only that, it's in your 12th house, which is where we want to rest and retreat. The 12th house is the house of rest and retreat. So no wonder. Rejuvenation, get a good night's sleep, rejuvenate your body, mind, and spirit. Beautiful Aries, if you want to claim this in the comments below, I would love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for February 2026 astrology. If you would like to do a private one-on-one astrology reading or clarity coaching session with me, go to my website, check out the testimonials that other clients have shared. After working with me, we can do a heart's desire, life purpose, natal chart reading, relationship harmony, 2026 year ahead reading if you'd like to know all of the transits that are most significant for 2026 for you. And I also offer 90-minute astrology consultations for those of you who would like extra time to go deeper, talk about something that is really up for you right now. If you'd like coaching support, we can do a clarity coaching session. The links to all of my readings and my coaching are in the description box below, and it will be my absolute joy to meet you on Zoom. I have a free gift for you, and that free gift is a soothing guided meditation. It will connect you to your unconditionally loving guides, angels, source, spirit, God, whatever you call it, and bring you a gift as well. If you would like to get my free instant download of my guided meditation, just go to my website, subscribe for free, and you'll get your free instant download guided meditation at the same time. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on February's astrology, and until my next video, I am sending you all my love.